Look at us now, tip to tip.
Ooh, Jesus.
Oh.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
It's us doing what we love. But it's time to bang. Oh, yeah, it's Monday, July 14th of the 25th. Let's kick off a badass combat sports week like only we can do today on Morning Kombat. I'm Brian Campbell, the suburban Connecticut king of all things cringe, maybe, or maybe pale health and distinguished gentlemanship. But next to me is DC's finest. He's a pretty damn good fight analyst for a guy that refuses to fight. They call him Luke Thomas. Hey, Luke, how are you?
What's up, BC? How was your weekend?
It was heavy on work, but I will say this. The work was fun because Box was back this past weekend with those back-to-back NYC cards. And I don't know if you checked the combat schedule for Saturday, but it's more loaded than one of your adult diapers in about 25 years. You know what I'm saying?
I took a dump that breached the surface today, so that's
okay. All
that's
right.
important.
You were crowning like the king of England. Hey, we have a loaded show for you today. Not only are we going to recap UFC Nashville, Taylor Serrano 3, and really a badass balls out all action ring 3 card from NYC over the past weekend. We are going to look ahead in a big way with special guest at noon Eastern, former world champion and a fine boxing analyst. Chris Algieri will join us live from Las Vegas as we set the stage for Pacquiao Barrios. We got Usyk Dubois part 2 this weekend, a lot going on. And then at 12:30 p.m. Eastern today, we're going to press pause on BC's feces. And how about we welcome a live guest? When I say live, I mean live in Luke's office, Craig Jones of jiu-jitsu, grappling, and prostitution circles. Luke, I am fired up for this.
Should be a fun one. As you indicated, there's the boxing over the weekend was great. The combat sports calendar, at least in terms of main events this coming weekend, is outstanding. So a lot to enjoy and get to.
Absolutely, Luke Thomas. It may be early morning on the East Coast, but now is a good time to remember where tequila's story actually began. I need to tell you this because in 1795, folks, Cuervo invented tequila. And since then, you already know that Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. Same family, same land, same passion. In fact, 230 years later, Cuervo's still here in every pour and every margarita and every celebration. So enjoy that tequila that invented tequila. Yeah, it's Cuervo, the tequila that started it all. So why don't you ProximoCuervo.com and please drink responsibly. And why don't you get fired up for 2 days from now, Wednesday, July 16th, live on the Morning Kombat YouTube channel. Cuervo presents UFC 318 pregame preview with BC, LT, Jed Meshew II. And how about this? Have you seen the shit getting moved to Wednesday also? So, Luke Thomas, we're going to be rocking out with a little bit of that Blanco, if you know what I'm saying, as Cuervo and company brings us a fun outing this Wednesday.
Yeah, this one's going to be a real good time. And as we indicated, that main event for UFC 318, a lot of fun. The rest of the card, little hit or miss, but I think a little bit of our friends at Cuervo is going to make it all a good time. How about
that? Absolutely here. So don't
forget.
Chris Algieri today at noon Eastern. We'll look at the boxing. Craig Jones live on this broadcast at 12:30 to talk about leaving the B team and all things CGI 2 and the future of the jiu-jitsu. So a lot to get into today. We may or may not have time for Have You Seen This Shit? Or I'm sorry, DMs from Donks. We'll get to that as it comes. Follow us on the handles below, including our extended YouTube channels. Don't miss Luke's political Substack is making some moves these days, right, LT?
Yeah, dude, I just secured an interview. I won't be able to do it till later in August, but I might be my best one yet. I'm pretty excited about it. Also, I just want to say, I'm sorry for the folks. We'll try to get to DMs. I think there's a decent chance we'll do. Have you seen this shit? I apologize. We're not going to be able to get to it today in all likelihood, but some of this stuff came together last minute, so we're just making the best of what we have available to us. So we appreciate everyone's understanding.
And a quick hello to our producer, director, bong enthusiast, and betting expert. He's one half of the Main Card Minute podcast. He came here on a one-way ticket by way of a horned Australian's ball bag. Yeah, it is Luke Nocita, but Luke, you mentioned to us off camera that today we got a guest from Long Island and an Aussie in the building. This is like your Super Bowl, right?
It really is. And we got Chris Algieri and Craig Jones because, I'm the Aussie Australian. No, but you called me a betting expert to intro me, BC. Went perfect this weekend, 6 for 6 on the main card. So let's fucking go.
Hip-hop
big
porn
weekend.
for
Big weekend for Main Card Minute. Also, my boy asked me to be his best man this weekend. That was the highlight.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's a pretty big weekend in the Nocita household, all right?
All right. Decent boyfriend, too. You got to give Luke Nocita that credit right there. All right. Fired up. Thank you for joining us, Luke. I had something I wanted to say about Nocita.
Everyone on the internet thinks you're going to talk about Conor McGregor's pecker.
That was it. That was what I forgot to bring up. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hey, look at the unit on that guy. Was that a cock ring? What are we doing here? That guy's a dirt hole, Luke.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking gross.
So what did he send Dick? So this is the same 24-hour period where photos emerge of Conor with a new mistress on the beach. And then he gets caught sending stick pics to a singer rapper. What was the lady's name?
Azalea Banks, I think is her name.
Yes, and she outed him by going public with the
You just have to imagine if he sent that to her, he's probably sent that like a million times to other people, right?
Brett Favre, Jen Sturger, probably a lot of different people.
That's an old school pull right there. Wow.
Okay, here you go. Wow, what a gross human that man, right?
He's terrible.
Yeah, he reminds me of all those people who go to morningkombat@gmail.com and do the same to Mikey, but that's neither here nor there. All right, that's it. We got to get into it. We got a busy show. Topic number 1 begins right now. UFC Nashville over the weekend was a fight night card that, hey, wasn't that strong on paper. I thought we got fireworks through a lot of it, including in that main event when Derrick Lewis pissed all over Tallison Teixeira, the young heavyweight. In just 35 seconds, he got him out of there. Now, look, already the UFC record holder for most career KOs, the 40-year-old Lewis would say leading up to this fight that he felt disrespected by being put in there with a guy who only had one UFC fight coming in. So not only did the Black Beast get in his best shape in 11 years, he rebounded from very early damage to get another TKO finish. And afterwards, he played all his hits, including a new one of a mock urination on the corner of Teixeira, who he accused his team of speaking to him in Brazilian he didn't understand, but he's sure they were talking shit. So, Luke Thomas, this now puts the lovable Lewis at 3 wins in his last 4, all by knockout, yet, albeit against second-rate competition. Yet, even though when given a chance to call out his next opponent, Lewis hilariously called out his own wife and made a few sex jokes there, they were talking on the broadcast about the idea of Lewis potentially cutting the line as a fresh opponent for Tom Aspinall. So, Luke, if this was allowed for a guy who fought for a title once before and just won't go away in this heavyweight division, would you be insulted by it given the extreme lack of depth that maybe, just maybe, Derrick Lewis could be in line for Tom Aspinall?
I don't think that's crazy, nor should it be seen as crazy, nor should it be seen as anything, frankly, even undesirable. I mean, obviously, everyone's mileage is going to vary in terms of what fights get them excited and who they think is deserving. But we said it on Friday's MK, which deserves to be repeated here. Heavyweight is kind of like flyweight now, and guys are going to get title shots maybe more quickly than you might imagine. In this particular case, they're going to get one. It's been a while since he fought DC, but under, let's say, relatively expedited circumstances, given the winning streak. And I'm basically okay with it. I'm not saying he has to be next for Tom Aspinall if they wanted to make the Cyril Gane fight. That is the better fight, at least in theory, that we think, because you would imagine on some level Gane might be able to give Tom some problems, and it's a fresh matchup. This one is too, but that one's a little bit more of a higher caliber. However, dude, Derrick Lewis is beloved. Derrick Lewis is. You can make an argument about who is the best knockout artist of all time, but he is certainly, at a bare minimum, the most prolific, and the most prolific in this heavyweight division. People like him. He's guaranteed action. It's a fresh matchup. The division needs some help. Guys are going to get expedited title shots. This is great. I don't know. I mean, this is them making the best of the circumstances that they have. And whatever else you want to say about a fight between Tom Aspinall and Derrick Lewis, it won't be boring. And if I may be saying one more thing, Tom Aspinall is obviously very, very good. But one of the reasons why the John Jones fight was important was for many reasons, title unification, blah, blah, blah. But there are a lot of unknowns about Tom Aspinall. And then some of the stuff that shows up on tape about his chin being high in the air and getting clipped. You know, Derrick Lewis, I don't know that I would favor him to win, but that kind of threat cannot be dismissed either. I've seen guys get wrecked trying to be nonchalant about knockout threats, the kind that Derrick Lewis poses. So I understand it's unusual, BC. This is not how other divisions in a healthy way would operate, but we are where we are, and this is a pretty good option.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I'm not upset by it. I mean, there really is a wasteland of potential options for him. Gane not coming off the strongest performance, so there's a lot of questions out there. I'm not trying to act like Lewis has defeated top-rate opposition, but I wonder if that even matters. Long Island, can we show the side-by-side here, as Luke Thomas needs to be awarded for mentioning last week that Lewis did come in maybe just 4 pounds under the heavyweight limit.
You got centelled again.
Did I?
So the image on the right is from a video that is AI.
Okay. Man, I get MMA centelled like no one's business.
I always wondered, how can fake news spread? Because it seems so obviously fake. And then I met dullards like you, and it makes more sense.
I did drop out of college, to be fair. But Luke, the larger point, he obviously got motivated to get in really good shape and prove a point. He typically does that because his elite career has had so many highs and lows and, bad stretches where he's not training hard, not running. He's done that before coming off of losses. This time it felt like maybe he realized there was an opening with John Jones not coming through that door. So I got to ask you, is a motivated and fit Derrick Lewis, even at age 40, still about equally as dangerous as he's ever been when he does make these runs at the belt? That, of course, ended with the loss to Daniel Cormier at MSG. He badly lost an interim title fight to Cyril Gane in Houston that time. But Luke, he's kind of the same dangerous. If he's in shape, he's hella dangerous. And that's the bottom line, right?
He could get taken down and thrashed. I mean, not too long ago, Sergey Spivak submitted him in the first round. We kind of have to be honest about what we have here. He is a limited fighter in very key and fundamental ways. However, he's also a very dangerous fighter in key and fundamental ways. And to the point you raised, BC, this is something we'll talk about later when we talk about UFC 318. We kind of associate Max Holloway's peak when he was champion in the featherweight division. But BC, I went back and I watched their second fight. If you compare the guy who fought Dustin Poirier then to the guy who knocked out Justin Gaethje, it's just a massively different guy. And so to the point you raised, you kind of associate guys with their peak moment in terms of, where they reached heights relative to the rest of the division. But I do agree with you. I mean, for example, like that one thing where he pretends to be injured and then floors guys. He tried it again here, and it, to an extent, at least set up some of the offense he was able to score ultimately in the end. He has a ton of veteran savvy. He doesn't panic in bad spots. So he's got limits, and the limits are real, and they probably will end up costing him against a guy as well-rounded as Tom Aspinall. However, his knockout power cannot be denied at all. His veteran savvy cannot be denied at all. His ability to get off of bottom cannot be denied at all. And again, given the state of the division, are these things enough to warrant a title shot and to have at least a modicum of interest in it? I would argue that it would.
I have to agree with you. Let's hear from Lewis, who talks exactly what Luke mentioned about playing possum with Teixeira, which really opened the door for that 35-second finish.
I was acting like something was in my eye, and I was waiting for him to get a little closer. He didn't get close enough for the first time, so I really was trying to sell it, make it seem like he had got me in my eye pretty good. And that's what happened. I caught him. Yeah. Then I noticed he was trying to pull himself up on the cage. I'm like, man, come on, man. He having me hit my own leg. I'm trying to knock my own leg out of socket. Yeah, so it was messed up.
Did you expect the ref to come in and stop it right there?
Yes, I expect the ref. The ref should have been stopped him because he went in and out a couple of times. It was like before he even started grabbing the cage. So,
yeah. When you threw that left hand, did you know if it connected that it was going to send him down?
I know if I throw anything at anybody, no matter what it is, I know that it's going to go down. He was the king of the taxicab drivers in Brazil, man.
Wow.
But no, I don't want an easy fighting like that. I want, of course I would like to do one more run at the title. That'd be good.
Too much too soon for Teixeira. It seemed that way. But Luke, what do you make of the stoppage, which has gotten a lot of talk? I felt in real time like it was too soon. Teixeira did aggressively break the rules and use the cage to lift himself up. Maybe that led to the referee's decision. How did you view it?
Yeah, I didn't care for the stoppage, but I want to be clear. It seemed like Derrick was. My view is Derrick was, based on the way that one went, he was going to win no matter what. I mean, there was almost no circumstance where I think he wouldn't have won. And I'm not in any way mad that he won, but I didn't love the stoppage. And I keep seeing these arguments made about the stoppage that I just don't understand. I'm being dead serious. I don't understand at all. People are pointing out that he used the fence to stand. He put his fingers, you can push on the fence, but you obviously can't grab the inside of it, right? And so he did. That is against the rules. But first of all, I'm just going to say, like, the nature of the rules itself, that's much more important when someone's trying to return you to the mat. But okay, putting that aside, just did he break the rules? He broke the rules. But if the referee is going to stop a bout based on a foul, like grabbing the fence, and in particular, this is actually itemized for fence grabbing, they typically have to give a warning. But even that, you could say, oh, I didn't want to do it because it was, in the heat of the moment. You can do it on a DQ. So if you decide as a referee that grabbing the fence was so egregious in this particular case, you can just disqualify him. And you could even say, hey, listen, he did it right at the moment where he was about to be finished. This is an egregious foul, right? Like fouling your way to prevent a stoppage in some kind of way. Then it should have been a DQ. But people are not making that argument. What they're making the argument is, oh, he broke the rules. He was getting pounded on. Therefore, that's a stoppage. And I'm like, that's actually not how the rules work at all. That's not what they say. That's not what they show. That's not what they call for. And people are also saying, BC, grabbing the fence to get to your feet is not intelligent defense. It's the definition of intelligent defense. Building height, getting to your feet. That's exactly what someone should be doing. Now, they shouldn't be doing it by grabbing the fence. So the method of how he did it is a problem. But the notion that, like, because you broke a rule and you were also getting pounded on, therefore you can just call it. You can, but it has to be a DQ. It's not grounds for saying they're not intelligently defending themselves. In fact, it's the opposite of that. So I didn't love the stoppage, but I don't in any way view the result as like illegitimate. Derrick Lewis was going to fucking win. He was going to fucking win. I just didn't think the stoppage went as smoothly as it could.
Do you agree with the Black Beast saying he was kind of in and out of consciousness leading up to that?
He might be right. I mean, obviously he's the closest one to that. It was a little harder for me to tell from what we got on the broadcast. Again, dude, he was gonna win. Like, this is not some controversial, like, oh my God, the guy got robbed. No, it's just the method of how it was done doesn't make a lot of sense. But he might be right. The guy might have been out, and so I want to be as clear as I possibly can. I have zero issue with Derrick Lewis winning. I just think if you're going to make the argument that grabbing the fence should be penalized, the penalty for it is a point and or a DQ. It's not, oh, he's not intelligently defending himself.
Yeah.
Building height is intelligent defense, period.
Yeah, something Joe Rogan has really never worked on at all, Luke, to be fair. We got Dana White reacting to the stoppage. By the way, breaking news, Dana White was at a Fight Night card. He reacted to the stoppage. He talked about the Trump phone call and addressed that idea we're bringing up. Is Derrick Lewis in the title picture? Let's hear from the boss.
You're sitting there, you're watching Derrick get a knockout, and then President Trump just calls you on the spot?
No. Derrick came over and said, where's the president? I said, he's not here tonight. I said, but he's watching. And I got him on the phone and put him on the phone with him.
Do you have any idea what Derrick wanted to say to him?
I have no idea. You have to ask him. I don't know what they talked about.
Maybe he's trying to book himself a fight on the White House card.
That's what everybody's trying to do right now.
So then, obviously, with that being said, Derrick could really, if you look at the division as it is, be maybe one fight away from getting a title shot next or something like that.
I think that's the way the heavyweight division has always been. I mean, these guys, they don't have to cut. Some of them have to cut, but they don't have to cut a lot of weight. And a fight can turn with one punch. Whoever lands that big shot, and they were both trying to land him, and he got him. I thought the stoppage was a little fast. But it is what it is.
I did think it was a little fast too, as well, just for the record there. Also, real quick, not that, maybe people, I don't know, Luke, if you care about the contents of that Donald Trump call, but it was interesting when they came back from commercial and the DL was on the line. I did catch a Derrick Lewis pre-fight interview in which he said that he would love to talk to Trump, but he was referencing all the prior convictions that he was hoping to get pardoned on his record.
Okay, that's
funny. Did catch up with Derrick Lewis afterwards to ask him that question. His response was predictably out of bounds. Let's listen.
And when did you know you wanted to speak to President Trump?
I've been telling Dana a couple of weeks now. I need to talk to him about something.
Could you tell us what that something is?
No, man, no.
Would it be about maybe fighting at
It's
the
classified.
Oh, it's classified. You're an agent now?
Yeah. It's classified. It's almost something about terrorists and stuff like that. So.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Serious stuff. Mm-hmm. Are they signing you up? You going to join the FBI?
We don't like the FBI right now, me and Trump. You know, they're trying to get that list out of us. And so I had to tell the president, hey, you know, make sure they don't let
I got you.
Don't have my name on that list, you know.
Luke, that list would be the Epstein list, and he definitely didn't kill himself. Are you of the? Oh wait, we're not on Luke Thomas Substack. I was going to ask if you were of the belief that Trump is now switching gear just to avoid assassination, or maybe that's too deep for a Monday morning.
I don't know. I did see him get booed at the FIFA World Cup, or
Yeah,
the
that did
FIFA
happen.
Club World Cup final. That was funny.
All right, we got a loaded show, so we got to keep it going. Let's go to this co-main event, which has brought out some responses here as a welterweight tilt between the rising Gabriel Bonfim and the plus 40 veteran Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson ends in a 3-round split decision and a brutal gash on the leg. First, can we show this picture on Wonder Boy Thompson's leg? Good.
That is fucking insane.
Lord, that is from a checked kick right there. In the end, though, the fight was a little bit back and forth, and there was an argument that maybe Wonder Boy should have gotten the win. As we quickly look at these picture of these scorecards, which go down as a split decision, you see Mike Bell giving rounds 1 and 3 to Bonfim, same as Dave Torelli, but it was Rick Winter who gave rounds 2 and 3 for Wonder Boy, and it felt like MMA Twitter agreed with him most. Luke, was Wonder Boy screwed out of a victory in this fight that he fought through some tough moments there to shine?
I definitely think there's a case for Wonder Boy here for sure. I mean, I put the scorecards up one more time if you can. Okay, so my scorecard is Rick Winters, but if you notice, everyone is unanimous on rounds 1 and 2. So then the question becomes, what about round 3 and how did you score it? And my answer would be I scored it for Wonder Boy. But BC, I don't know. Thank you, Long Island Luke. I don't know if it's the same people on what I'm about to say. I don't know. But I definitely hear a lot of people saying, well, you know, I don't like stand-ups and I don't like referee involvement. And if you're being held against the fence or you're being controlled on the ground, it's your job to fix it. And I've been trying to explain to people, this is not a great way to organize a sport. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You need the referees to intervene when positions get stalled out. And it looked to me, BC, like Bonfim was stalling him out. He was clinching him up against the fence, stalling him out, not doing necessarily a ton of meaningful offense, but just keeping Wonder Boy there to kind of run out the clock. The referee, in my judgment, should have been more willing to break it up. But the bigger point is he should have been empowered to do that. I cannot believe that people make arguments for stalling in MMA, because that's exactly what you're going to get. Guys can neutralize one another, but then they can't extract themselves from the situation that they're in, and it just holds steady. You need to empower referees to break them apart, because BC, the thing that really I took from this was Wonder Boy striking is still, like, I wasn't sold on Bonfim on Friday's show, and I'm still not really sold on Bonfim. He's obviously got some ability, but I don't know if he's all that great. Wonder Boy at age, what is he, 42 at this point? Like whatever number he is. His striking, particularly at distance, is still crisp. It's still pretty fast. It's still accurate. Like it's very, very effective even at this late stage of his career. And I'm not saying we had to break him up so that you could see more of it. But if guys are just using control positions to stall out rounds, break them apart. And if the rules don't allow for it, we should make the rules allow for it. I don't know if that's how everyone else feels, but I just hear this debate all the time about, no, if you're held down, it's your job to get up. This is giving the guy who is doing the stalling all the license they need to keep it up. And in my judgment, BC, that's what Bonfim did.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I also thought when he got hurt at the end of round 2, it sort of changed his desire to mix it up there with the 42-year-old Thompson. Luke, this is 5 losses in 6 fights now for Wonder Boy. Even if the general public says, hey, we need a deeper examination of this fight. I think you said what we learned, which is true, that even with that sort of dark record turn with 5 defeats in 6 fights, they've come against very good competition. He's clearly showing you that he's still got it at this level, which is a credit to the shape he's kept himself in and the incredible speed and reaction times he's always held. But was this the fight that tells you Bone Fame, or at least brother G Bone Fame here, isn't going to get over that hump? That he's got the flashy submission skills. He could take out the B- guys in spectacular fashion, but he may never get over that hill to true contention.
Yeah, this was an opportunity for him, and yes, he got the W, but he didn't pass the test. I mean, I think we can all kind of agree with that at this point. You're right. The B- guys, he might be able to feast on them. Quick guillotines and a number of other things he can do, but Wonder Boy has been serving as a guy. Hey, can you graduate to the next level in this division? That's what Wonder Boy's been kind of offering for people. And some of the better ones have obviously been able to get past, but Bonfim had to eke to the finish line and stall his way to do it. This was not a very convincing win, such that you can call it a win. I mean, technically a win, obviously, but such that you can call it like an authoritative victory. This was none of those things. I think this is the reason why a lot of us were like, Bonfim's good, but he's not like really good. This was just a reminder of that. He kind of is what he is at this point. He'll beat some guys for sure, but I don't know if he's going to ascend to the top of this division anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. Hey, let's talk about featherweight Steve Garcia at 33 years old, who extended his win streak to 6 with a 30-27, I believe, across the board performance against Calvin Kattar. A shutout. It was dominant. Is Steve Garcia a legitimate player at 145 moving forward?
Yes, I do think he is. I thought this was a nice win. He was a little nervous early, but I thought he really settled in. The longer that fight went, he got smoother and smoother. His combinations got better, and you could just tell he was thinking more on his feet as the time went on, and that's why some of the striking got better over the course of that bout. So I want to be very clear. I'm absolutely taking nothing from him. Your question was, is he a real player in this? The answer is absolutely yes. In this division, he is someone to note. The win streak is legitimate. This was a very, I would say, a good opponent, certainly. And he's doing interesting things. He is putting together a skill set and a run that simply cannot be denied. However, BC, I think if you watch tape from Kattar from a few years ago, there's really no way to deny that he's lost a step. And people point to Max beating him up as one of the things. That could have been one, but I thought he rebounded from that a little bit well. But the ACL surgery and everything else, he's just not the same guy. And I'm not saying that to be disparaging. We like the New England Cartel. We like Tyson Chartier. We like Calvin Kattar. But the tape, if you guys don't believe me and you're a Fight Pass subscriber or whatever, just go look a few fights ago. Not in the format, I would say a few years ago. Go look at some of the ones, the performances he was turning in, and he just looked a little bit more dynamic, ready, light on his feet, thinking, and he just seems to get caught flat-footed or just be there to be hit a lot more than he once did. Now, defense was never necessarily his strongest suit, but there was just more going on. It seems like there's just less. He's able to do less now over the course of time. So Steve absolutely is leveling up, but I don't think that that's the entire story. Part of the story is the decline of Kattar.
Yeah, Kattar did have the upper hand on Rob Font in that most recent DraftKings commercial with John Anik, where he's putting him in a chokehold there in the DraftKings studio. So hopefully he gets some of that cheddar. You mentioned Tyson Chartier. How about I mention Morgan Charrier? Charrier?
I don't speak French. I have no fucking idea.
I should learn his name soon, Luke, because this featherweight's exciting as balls, and him and Nate the Train in the UFC put on nearly 3 rounds of back and forth bad shit craziness. Charrier getting an absolutely brutal knockout in the finish. And to be fair, he was largely getting the better of the very straight ahead Landwehr, who loves to just square up and throw 3-punch combinations. Only it broke through and it worked for a while. Were you as entertained as I was? Because I was doing the Arsenio woo pump fist during this. I was fired up. This was great.
Yeah, this is the one where I was a little bit confused about how it would go pre-fight. I was like, well, Morgan has never dealt with someone like Nate in his face, just kind of putting on pressure. But we thought that Morgan was the better striker and that would show up. And for 2 rounds, that was it was kind of a mix of both of those things. And it just seemed like at the end, he was like, you know what, I'm just going to close the show here and be the more dynamic striker. And that's kind of what you got in the end. So to me, this was actually something of a nice test for Morgan to pass. I wouldn't say he did it with flying colors, but he certainly did a very good job. And I think dealt with a little bit of adversity, showed some skill. I will say, some of the wrestling, it was interesting. Like, he would get to Landwehr's hips very quickly. Landwehr, with a hard whizzer, was able to really challenge some of those positions. So this was some real resistance that he faced from a guy who was not as technically skilled, but had that dog in him. We all know that Nate Landwehr is famous for that. And trying to deal with that is not so simple. So the fact that he got it done in the end maybe took him a little bit longer than you would have preferred, but got the job done, hand raised, authoritative finish. Pretty good job by the Frenchman. Pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, Landwehr has such great conditioning to go with his love of getting involved in blood and guts wars that he never stops coming. I like that Charrier didn't break. I did see a lot of criticism online of people saying, stop shoulder rolling and trying to point fight this crazy guy. This guy's going to try to make it a batshit crazy brawl. And the quicker you identify that, meet him halfway and get him out of there, the easier the job will be. I wonder if Charrier learns a lesson here, Luke, because he did have the striking advantage when they would exchange at the same times. And every time he touched Landwehr, he was moving him. So I'm glad he finally found that before the fight ended and was able to get him out of there. But a fun bit of theater. I got to jump down to that undercard, Luke. I was fired up for Johnny Walker's brother, the heavyweight Walter Walker, to come in here and make his UFC debut and then need less than a minute to do crazy shit, get a quick submission, act like a maniac. Is this now the preferred crazy Walker brother? Not just from the standpoint of potentially spreading his seed all over Scotland, but coming in and doing crazy, exciting highlight reel shit.
I'm going to say this. Obviously, getting wins like this are fun. They stand out. They're interesting. He's gotten several of them now. And at heavyweight, it's unusual to see someone who can, just sit for 50-50 heel hooks, basically. On the other side, I just want to be clear. This is a gimmicky way to win. You are going to beat some guys along the way doing this. Absolutely. But you're not going to win a title doing this, and you're probably not going to beat a number one contender, maybe even the fighter before that. I mean, heavyweight's a little thin, so it's harder to say. He might be able to take this pretty far just doing this. But there is a very big difference between guys who can clamp for quick submissions and then guys who can methodically set it up. And the ones who can methodically set it up have a significantly higher skill base. So heavyweight's a little weak, and this is a fun thing he's doing. You can't deny it. But I'm not sure how far you're going to be able to take something like this without the other portions of the skill set.
Well, let me dead wrong myself. That was not his UFC debut. As you mentioned, he's now had 4 fights in the UFC. He's 3-1 since that loss to Luka Doncic. Lucas Bresky. With the fishes there, unanimous decision straight. Since then, it's been 3 straight heel hooks. And when you say gimmicky submissions, are you referencing the McKenzie team?
That's also, yes, that's another guy. He didn't have the ability to methodically set it up. He could just jump and then clamp. And that's, dude, you can beat a lot of guys with a quick clamp. It's actually very, very effective.
Like a C clamp?
You get my point.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's very different than Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira has a clamp too, but if you can't get it, that's fine. He'll just methodically set it up and then submit you from there. That's what I'm talking about. There's a big gap between those kinds of guys. So is he dangerous? Yes, but there's a difference. Yeah,
he's exciting as shit. What else from this undercard moved you over the weekend, Luke?
The opening bout I thought was actually pretty interesting between the ladies here. I complain all the time that's not that exciting with the women fight, but this was a very different kind of.
They were mismatches. They put 2 chick mismatches down there, and they were exciting, right?
That's fine, but at least they delivered, right? I mean, sometimes I've seen some mismatches, and the person couldn't put the other one away. At least in this particular case, you got one, Fatima Klein, with a nice sort of head kick finish. Also, Mike Davis is very good. Mike Davis had a bit of a rough run early in his UFC career where sometimes he didn't perform up to his level with an injury. I think he had a tough fight against Sadiq Youssef on Contender Series. Maybe that was, I believe that's right. But in this fight against Mitch Ramirez, he showed a lot of freaking skill, and he's well-rounded. And this is a guy who I think at this point is starting to get to more of a little bit of the methodical side of setting up offense, not just submissions. So I really like that as well. I thought the Jake Matthews win over Chidi Njokuani was a little anticlimactic because it happened so quickly. Also, shouts to Chris Curtis going down to 170. He had to kind of, gut it out late into the fight, but Max Griffin made it hard for him, and he still got the job done. So well done by him.
Oh, Long Island Luke, you are a diehard when it comes to these prelims. How will you remember 41-year-old Lauren Murphy now that she says goodbye to the UFC?
Oh God, that fight was awful. I'm not gonna lie. I think Luke not giving Jake Matthews his credit there, man. Dude, that was a sick fight. Shout out Jake Matthews.
Is he
Jake
Aussie?
Matthews
Is that why
submissions, but Chidi Njokuani, it's like this is something. I mean, I know he's a black belt now, but it's like this is something he's always kind of struggled with, you know.
Yeah, but Jake Matthews, nice to get a bounce back. Oh, actually, I think that's a few in a row now for him. But either way, he always like looks good against someone and then kind of falters.
Yeah,
and so it's nice to see him.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. Yeah,
and
it's a nice win. It's a nice win.
Both people you already shouted out. You know, Fatima Klein from Long Island, gorgeous head kick, and Mike Davis from upstate New York. You know, shout out. Just saying.
This guy's always calling out the locals, the Aussies, the Long Islanders, all those people.
Upstate New York is the land that time forgot.
There you go.
I'll agree with that.
UFC Nashville now behind us. What ahead of us is UFC 318. Get fired up, not just pregame preview this Wednesday, but UFC 318 is the last time, of course, that Dustin Poirier will step inside the octagon. You want to know the easiest way to get on the action this weekend and win some real cash? Hey, how about downloading that Pick 6 app from DraftKings right now? DraftKings, of course, the official fantasy partner of the UFC. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite fights, whether it's takedown secured, total strikes, pick your fighter, pick your category, go more or less, and maybe be on your way to some big cash, because Pick 6 brings major upside with payouts beyond the minimum if you beat the competition. Luke, I think there's something that they should do right now, right?
Yeah, there's no question what they should do. So here's what's going to happen, you guys. You need to download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use the code COMBAT. That's COMBAT with a K for all new customers to get a special offer. Ride the upside where a few bucks can turn into a bag only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-97777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Indeed. Well done. Let's go to topic number 2. It took place in New York City, Madison Square Garden, and Netflix with the big trilogy between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, and asking these two future Hall of Famers to out-deliver their legendary first 2 fights was already going to be a difficult challenge. But despite a fantastic promotion from Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions and Netflix, and an absolutely electric atmosphere at MSG on Friday night, along with some great production from Netflix, you got to shout it out. Their third fight turned out to be very tentative, yet competitive. Kind of felt in real time like a bit of a dud. Despite the split decision result, there wasn't much outrage this time, as Katie Taylor earned a deserved victory, her 3rd overall against Serrano. Luke, was this victory more of the result of Katie Taylor at 39 proving once and for all that she's the more superior boxer of the two? Or do you bring up Amanda Serrano's very questionable game plan and maybe even her lack of urgency that ultimately cost her in the end?
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, Katie Taylor going 2-0 was no scandal. We've been over this a million times. It was no scandal. I thought Serrano won at least one of those, but it's not a scandal, and I had no problem with it. But to me, it left a little bit of doubt, like what is actually possible if they can make the adjustments. And we all thought on Friday, quite wrongly, that this was going to be a barn burner. This was definitely quite a letdown for me. It was not a bad fight. I'm not going to sit here and say it was some kind of terrible affair, but it wasn't very good and it wasn't very interesting.
Like a sparring match, Luke. Be honest. It kind of felt like a sparring match at times.
I mean, it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't much. It just was, it was whatever. That's not to say Netflix didn't do an unbelievable job, and then Jake Paul as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But just sticking with the fight, BC, I hated Amanda Serrano's game plan. I hated it. She is an offense-first fighter, and that was a defense-first plan. If you're that kind of fighter, you're offense first, and your game plan is defense first, you can do that for a little while, right? I'm gonna slow bleed the fight and then change and turn it up late. But she never did. How do you expect to beat Katie Taylor when the range at which you're fighting and the pace at which you're fighting is something that uniquely advantages her, and it's a pace that she can maintain the entire fight? That was not a winning game plan. That was not a winning effort. Now, people have rightly pointed out that, like, the fact that after 20 rounds and a long career, both of them were probably, not necessarily looking forward to a blood and guts kind of fight, which I can appreciate that.
It didn't have to be. To be fair, it didn't have to be blood and guts.
It didn't have to be. It could have been more than what it was. I understand it's not either or. But the thing is, Serrano doesn't know how to calibrate, right? She's either all in or she's all out. And she was all out. And so I think Katie Taylor was like, sweet, I'm happy to box on the outside. And, dude, people were calling that fight close. The rounds were not like a huge swing one way or the other. But it looked to me like Katie was definitely the superior boxer between them, especially on the terms of which they were fighting. She was the one with the Olympic pedigree. She was the one who was landing and exiting. She was, coming over the top with the jab. She was catching her with check hooks and then exiting. And Serrano never really did anything to adjust it. Again, if she's shop worn and she just didn't want to go through the war anymore, I get it. But the game plan that she had, she was never going to win with that. You could fight Katie Taylor 100 times with that game plan if you're Amanda Serrano. You're going to lose all 100. I freaking hated that game plan.
It wasn't just a bad game plan, in my opinion. I think it was poor execution of that game plan. She stood from distance far too out, spamming jabs that really had no chance of connecting, and it wasn't like she was spamming those to set up her left crosses. I feel like she didn't use the weapons that she brought to the table there. Maybe crowding her, given the 2-minute rounds, and really trying to get her on the inside, going to the body, would have been a better strategy. But the fact that she had no adaptability during such a big fight on such a grand stage that so many people worked so hard to build, and obviously they were part of building that in a lot of ways. I felt bad for her after having 2 fights in which she performed so well, where you can make an argument for both. She just did. I mean, she didn't even look good in that game plan. And Luke, this is where those 2-minute rounds, which when it's fast paced, when it's all action, like the first 2 fights in which Serrano was pushing a crazy pace, those are hard to score because there's just so much happening and both are having success. But when you do the opposite in 2-minute rounds and you hold the ball and you slow it down, and then we're basically in the end going to judge where the 3-4 punches of Taylor off of clean counter shots in which she got in and out more valuable than the spamming jabs, some of which touched Taylor, a couple body shots from Serrano. Yeah, Taylor's shots are going to win out. They're cleaner, they're powerful, they're more memorable. Her technique was better. Everything about it was better. So it wasn't just a disappointment for me in the game plan. It was the lack of an adjustment. She didn't even execute that well. And I really thought her corner with Jordan Maldonado, her brother-in-law, manager, and trainer, there was really just no talk of adjustments. Maybe they felt they were deeper in the fight than they were in terms of the scores. And obviously with the split decision, they weren't that far off. But still, if Serrano had won a backdoor decision here, it wouldn't have been this triumphant moment. It would have been, for the 3rd straight fight, maybe the wrong fighter won, right? I mean, she clearly did not get the better of the 2. Now, I don't think she deserves the full-on meme treatment, but Luke, Boxing Twitter gave it to her after the fight.
Boxing Twitter is fucking brutal. Yeah.
Giving her the Edgar Berlanga Puerto Rico parade after he lost to Canelo experience right there. I feel bad for Serrano because she has fought so well in this series up to that point. We talk about it. We should talk about it. They promoted the absolute shit out of this card. I love the production, which they spent a shit ton on, and it worked. It looked great. I don't know. I mean, I didn't necessarily love Sean Grandy, who I thought did a great job calling the fights. I didn't love his over-the-top salesmanship that we're watching this classic we'll never forget. No,
they were just kind of operating under the assumption that this fight was just as good as the first 2, and it simply was not. Yeah,
and I'm not necessarily blaming.
I do like Sean Grande though.
The 2 fighters in this case, because a lot of times in boxing history, a big war in one fight will lead to look at Barrera Morales, one of the greatest trilogies of all time, the Mexican War. Number 2 was not a war. It was a safe sort of point fighting decision. It happens at times, but considering the stakes, considering what was put into it, I don't know if this main event was the best advertisement for women's boxing when it was really set up to be the perfect one moving forward.
Yeah, Luke, can I say something though? I mean, I realize women's boxing is in a different place than men's boxing, right? So like some of these questions are not altogether unfair. But like turning every single women's fight into a referendum on women's boxing just seems a little bit much to me. Again, the fight was not great. We can all say that, but it was promoted expertly. The production looked fucking incredible. It just didn't deliver, and not all fights do.
Do you think this helps Taylor's argument in potentially being considered the greatest female fighter of all time? She's certainly up against it from someone like Clarissa Shields, the current pound-for-pound queen, who's won titles in 5 divisions, undisputed in 2. But now Katie Taylor at 39 has 3 wins over Amanda Serrano. She avenged her only loss to Chantel Cameron. She's a bigger star, you could argue, than any of the women boxing today. What do you think this fight did to her legacy?
A lot, actually. I mean, again, the question, this is the problem with the way that it went. Serrano kind of went out, maybe with a whimper is too strong, but the reason the third fight was exciting on paper was you thought, okay, well, we just saw 20 rounds of these two killing each other. Like, this is going to be great. But also that there was some dispute, right? There was dispute over, Katie Taylor got her hand raised, but there's dispute over whether she should have. And then after the third one, you're like, you know what? Maybe there shouldn't have been dispute. I mean, again, you could still go back and watch the first two and decide that Serrano won. I don't think it's unfair. I'm just saying it closed in a reasonably authoritative way to the point where it almost made you realize, this was a one-sided rivalry. It might be a little bit strong, but like one person clearly is the better of the other one. And they had 3 chances and they came up short on all 3 nights. I don't know how that does anything but buttress your case, not merely as the better of the two in the rivalry, but ultimately your place in women's boxing history. Amanda Serrano did not do everything that she could, and neither did Katie Taylor, but Katie Taylor did everything she needed to. And that to me was the big difference, and she did it with skill.
Yeah.
That goes a long way in my book.
Taylor would not commit after whether she will retire or continue fighting, but the whole idea of whether a trilogy against Chantel Cameron, who won on this undercard in her first fight under the MVP banner, Taylor gave a cold response to that idea when asked after the fight.
Maybe. I think Chantel has to see if she can sell out a 1,000-seat arena first. I don't think she can sell out any stadium at all. So I think I made her more money than she really deserves, to quite honest. But what do you think, Eddie?
I don't know if she needs a translator, but she said Cameron needs to sell out a 1,000-seat arena first, and probably has made more money from Taylor than she deserves. That's I like this kind of like victory lap trash talk from her that we're seeing lately. Luke, you into that?
I mean, at this point in her career, she's looking to starting to look to me like she's all out of fucks to give. So I'm about it.
Alicia Baumgartner, also in her first fight with MVP, won a competitive decision over Jennifer Marshall to defend her undisputed 130-pound title in the co-main. It was her first fight under new trainer Derrick James. And then she called out Katie Taylor afterwards. Luke, do you think that could be a fight in which Baumgartner will have to move up multiple weight divisions, but she's been threatening to do that to fight Claressa Shields? Do you think this could be a very big fight moving forward, and one maybe that Taylor would want?
I don't know. The co-main event to me was the least interesting bout on this card. I know Baumgartner won, but I didn't think it was a very decisive performance. The thing is, the LBC, she did get a win. She can promote really well. She's got a certain look. That could go a long way. So I would not be surprised if they do it. If you're asking me, though, am I like particularly excited for that one? I don't know. So-so.
All right. Quickly, Shadeja Green, the former college basketball player, won Most Valuable Promotions' $250,000 post-fight bonus for her performance in a very close decision over Savannah Marshall to unify titles at 168. Luke, we've been following Shadeja's story for a while. It was a inspirational sort of tear-felt moment afterwards, but did the judges get it right in your eyes?
It was close. I could see why Savannah Marshall had a case. I was close. It was to me, it was, coin flippish, very, very close. But I will say, to your point, we got introduced to Shadeja Green years ago when she was fighting on Jake Paul undercards. Jake's been promoting her a long time. That's what I mean about Jake Paul, the promoter. Like, he really is doing something very, very good in the sport, and he's doing it very well. So I don't really have a problem with her winning. Gun to my head, BC, I would maybe have gone with Marshall, but this was a competitive bout. It was a Green, I thought, did better in the middle parts, and Savannah a little bit better early. So it's a tough call. It's a tough call.
Savannah was coming off a 2-year boxing layoff as she was doing MMA training for PFL in between. Now Green becomes an opponent potentially for Claressa Shields, who has a fight at heavyweight coming up. But how about one of the announcers on this Netflix card, Layla Ali, making this statement after the fight about maybe whether she'll come out of retirement at 47 against Claressa?
Layla, last one. Clarissa Shields. There's rumors that you're gonna come back and fight her. What everybody's talking about it, or in the boxing circle.
The rumor that I heard was that I said that unless somebody had 15, 20 million, don't even call me about this. That's all.
Turkey has that money. Turkey's gonna set this up. I know it.
Unless somebody calls me and says they have it, we're not even gonna have a conversation. I'm not trying to come back and fight, but if someone offered that kind of money, I would actually have to think about it.
I'll talk to Turkey tonight.
Do I look like I can fight again?
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I think so.
And you look beautiful too.
Luke, would that do anything for you? Is that the type of fight you think?
These scumbag, you look beautiful too, honey.
Yeah. Do you think? But here's the deal. I'm never gonna not mention. I'll always say Layla is, potentially a Mount Rushmore, one of the greatest of all time, undefeated in her career. She ducked Dan Wolf straight up. She also could have fought Shields early in Clarissa's run when they had some big trash talk moments around the time that Layla was 40. Now at 47, even if Turkey bought in, paid her $15 million, and was all into the storyline because she's Ali's daughter, do you give her a chance in that fight?
Not really. I don't want to see that. She's 40. She's nearly 50. BC, I'm 45 and my back hurts if I sleep wrong taking a nap. I mean, I realize that Layla's a better athlete, but I'm just saying this is not a sport where 47-year-olds are dynamic talents with rare exception. And maybe she could be that, I wouldn't completely dismiss the idea, but, B-Hop is special for a reason. No.
Yeah, let's see if Manny Pacquiao can add himself at 46 on Saturday night.
Right.
Let's go to topic number 3. It was the Ring 3 card from Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens, New York. And in that main event, Hamzah Sheeraz brutally KO'd Edgar Berlanga to become the mandatory for Canelo Alvarez. And in some ways, the new sensation at 168 pounds in his debut. But from that unique venue living up to expectations to the 4 action-packed fights on the card and that decisive finish in the main event, I got to tell you, Turkey's Ring 3 was a massive success on Saturday from an entertainment standpoint. And Luke, outside of the circus sideshow with Turkey, where we get a lot of cop and Reno Versace and all that other stuff going on, I have to ask you a serious question. Has this Ring series, yes, we had the weird Times Square card, but when you count Eubank Ben 1, you count this big card that they're promoting coming up with David Benavidez, and you count Saturday nights with all the overflowing trash talk and the tough matchmaking, has Ring quietly become the best thing going on in professional boxing right now, or am I crazy?
It's still hit or miss, quite literally, but the hits have been really good hits. As you mentioned,
matchmaking is great, dude. It's great.
The Eubank Ben card, or the main event, certainly at a bare minimum, was extraordinary. The Times Square was a dud. I mean, there's really no getting around that. That's part of the report card too. It was a dud, but it wasn't the kind of dud that makes you think that they couldn't get it right. And sure enough, they got this one pretty right. Now, I don't know how well it did at the box office. I think there's pretty much an open question about that in terms of what it did on pay-per-view as well. We'll have to see. However, did it deliver in terms of the fights themselves? And there's really no question that it did. It maybe even over-delivered. It was fantastic. And, we haven't got to it yet, but Shakur Stevenson looked tremendous. Hamzah Sheeraz looked very good. Edgar Berlanga looked terrible, like I said he would. So,
he was in the fight till he wasn't. It was a tense battle for about 3.5 rounds. It was back and forth.
Yeah, he lasted 3.5 rounds before he got, started to get brutalized, BC. He's bad. He's not good. And I know you don't want to have this debate because you're like Big Red.
I'll have the debate.
You don't want to have this because you like Big Red. We all like Big Red. We all like Canelo Alvarez. But I've been saying for a while he has dropped off pretty significantly. And you can describe that in whatever terms you want. But the fact that he went 12 rounds, everyone was like, he went 12 rounds with Munguia because he carried him. Okay, I can buy that.
He admitted to it afterwards, yeah.
Well, he admitted to it. He said he did it. That doesn't mean he had actually did it. But okay, putting that aside, 12 rounds with Berlanga is borderline shameful. And here he is, Berlanga, fighting somebody who wasn't going to play any of those fuck games with him, and he got viciously stopped. This is why, BC, this is why I'm going to give Crawford the nod in my prediction. The people who note, Crawford's going up 3 weight classes, they're right. That's a big hurdle. Or that Canelo Power is going to be the last thing to go. He's not really dealt with anybody who can do that. Fair. Those are real things that you could point to make you think that Canelo is going to win. But the other side of the coin here is that he's been underperforming quite literally at this point for years. I do not have confidence in him to beat A-level fighters. Whether or not Crawford is that at that weight class by the time they fight in September, I don't know, but I'm banking that he will be.
We'll have a lot of time to break that down. I understand how that connects, and I did dead wrong myself earlier. It's Jennifer Miranda who lost to Baumgartner, not Jennifer Marshall. Thank you, Long Island Luke. Let's go to the clowning that Berlanga is receiving here after Sheeraz knocked him down 3 times, brutally KO'd him. Here's Berlanga's biggest critic, Oscar De La Hoya, chiming in.
Oh my God! Sheeraz, congratulations! Berlanga! Oh my God, you got knocked out! Oh my God, oh, something Canelo Alvarez couldn't do.
Well, he's insufferable, Luke, but Berlanga definitely talked enough shit to deserve this. But here's my bigger question. You say he sucks. He didn't look good once it got hairy on Saturday. But is it fair to announce Sheeraz as a danger to this division, as a future champion, as the newest, freshest thing? Or did he mop up on second-rate competition and we won't be seeing Edgar at this level again?
Well, he definitely mopped up on second-rate competition. However, I'm not ready to say that Sheeraz is like all of a sudden, oh, wow. And I know what like Turkey's going to do, right? They're going to try and make Sheeraz Canelo. I'm not convinced Canelo fights anyone of Shiraz's level ever again. You know what I mean? I just think these are.
Dude, Sheeraz is good, though. When he steps in there, man, he can punch. He's long. Sheeraz? He's got variety. Sheeraz can punch, man. I know he got audited against Adames. It's true. But if you fight with him, you can get put out. There's no
Adames
question.
is tricky, and he was also on Twitter all that night talking about how much better he was. And so dude, Adames is good. And Adames is, and that was it was a tricky ass fight for him. But fully at 168, super middleweight. I thought he looked good in the weight class. He was long. He was tricky. He does have good power. The combination work, like he just kept throwing and throwing. You would see that Berlanga would be, kind of holstering his weapons a little bit. So I got to tell you, I thought that was a very, very impressive showing. But again, beating Berlanga is one thing. Beating some like real good fighters is a very different one.
All right, we will pause this conversation. We'll get to Chris Algieri in a second as we look ahead to the weekend. But Luke, I got to talk to you quickly about True Classic, because when it comes to the way I feel, the way I look, changing the way I feel, that's what I feel about True Classic, right? The mission goes beyond fit and fabric. It's about helping guys show up with confidence and purpose. And we've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. When I put on the True Classic tee or the form-fitting jeans, my wife notices something different. Have you been in the gym? No, I haven't, but I have been in the True Classic, Luke, and I know you can feel that same feeling.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I can't give them a bigger endorsement than this. Long before they ever decided to sponsor the show, I was wearing their clothes. What else do I need to say? That when they came to us with hey, they're interested in doing some ads on the show, I was like, this is the easiest yes in the whole wide world. This is something I already use. This is something I already know is good. And to BC's point, it makes you look good. It makes you feel good. Premium products, great fit at all the right places. My wife loves it. You can mix and match it during the summer, during the winter, whether you can dress it up, you can dress it down. Guys, this is what you need. True Classic is going to set you off. I bought it before they ever sponsored us here on MKBC. So here's what you can do. You can grab True Classic you can go to trueclassic.com/combat, but you can get them at Target, Costco, a bunch of places. One more time for the folks listening on the audio platforms, trueclassic.com/combat, combat with a K. I promise you cannot go wrong with them.
Yeah, age gracefully. Forget the overpriced designer brands. Ditch the disposable fast fashion. True Classic, built for comfort, built to last, built to give back. Head on over to trueclassic.com/combat with a K for more. True Classic. Oh yeah, get on board. You're going to feel it. You're going to love it the way you look. BC's telling you that right here. All right, let's get into topic number 4 as we look ahead to a loaded weekend in boxing. We had to go to the bullpen and call one of our favorites in the game, the former world champion and the world-class boxing analyst himself, Chris Algieri, who once went the distance in a title fight against Manny Pacquiao. Chris will return to ringside this Saturday, of course, July 19th, to co-host the PPV.com's exclusive viewer chat in real time, live from Las Vegas during the PBC on Prime pay-per-view, headline, of course, by Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios. And throughout PPV.com's HD live stream of the fights. You can hear from Chris throughout. It begins 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific time. And of course, you can order the pay-per-view at ppv.com. No subscription required. Let's bring him in. He's an avocado enthusiast, an author, a former kickboxing champion. We love him. Live from Las Vegas, it's Chris Algieri, co-host of Inside Boxing Live. Chris, great to have you here, my friend. But this is an early wake-up call for you on the West Coast. We appreciate that, bro. How's everything?
Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you so much for the intro. I love being here as well. So thanks for having me. Yeah, we got an early call time. I'm out here in Vegas, bright and early. I got my coffee. I got my workout in. But I'm ready to chat Manny Pacquiao.
Well, Chris, you are retired now, but of course you're keeping in tip-top shape. I'm the same age as Manny Pacquiao at 46, and my fitness is up and down. But let's talk first about what we're going to see Saturday night in this main event as Pacquiao, 4.5 years removed, from the loss to Yordenis Ugas, filling in for Errol Spence. And yes, we did see Manny a year ago and then maybe an ill-advised exhibition bout at 160 pounds where he wasn't in great shape. But when he goes in there against WBC welterweight title holder Mario Barrios on Saturday, straight up, how realistic is it that he could compete, or maybe that he could add his name to the likes of George Foreman, Bernard Hopkins, Archie Moore, these great all-time greats who have kept it going in their 40s?
Listen, if we were talking about anybody else besides Manny Pacquiao, I would say there's slim to no chance that he's even going to be competitive. But Manny Pacquiao is something special. He's something different. He's a one of one. There's never been a Manny Pacquiao. There never will be a Manny Pacquiao. You get that idea kind of nostalgically, like, listen, if anybody can do it, Manny Pacquiao's that guy. How realistic do I really think it is? I don't really know. We have a lot of questions. You mentioned that exhibition match versus a kickboxer that he did not too long ago, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that he didn't train for that. He just showed up. He said it was at 160. He looked fleshy. We've never seen him look like that physically. And from the reports that we see now, the workouts that we see from Wildcard Gym with Freddie Roach, he looks to be in awesome condition, even at 46. We were getting those old looks at him throwing million punches on the bags, him doing pad work, him doing the morning runs. My nephew was actually out there, sparred with Manny's son and did the runs with them, said he looked like he was in really good shape. So there's a lot of questions. We don't know who's going to show up. We got to see how much of that Manny Pacquiao of old is left in the 46-year-old retired senator. But I don't know. I'm still intrigued because it's Manny Pacquiao.
I mean, I'm with you. It's like, I think there's been times in the second half of Manny's career where the motivation, the training has dipped, right? I don't know if he came in world-class shape for that Jeff Horn fight. Yet a couple years later, he's beating Keith Thurman, handing him his first defeat and nearly becoming the fighter of the year at age 40 to become the oldest welterweight champion. You, of course, fought him when he was closer to his prime, and you were certainly in yours. Just on the basis of facing someone like Pacquiao, why is it potentially possible that he's the one-of-one alien? What does he do that might be able to still be there at 46?
Yeah, and I shared the room with Manny Pacquiao 11 years ago, and it was a little bit after he was starched by Juan Manuel Marquez, that scary face-down knockout. And Manny made an adjustment after that fight. He was less of that forward, full-on attack, shot out of a cannon type offensive machine that we saw in the lighter weights. After that fight, he boxed more. We saw more of his IQ. That was something that I really recognized when I was in the ring with him. I mean, his ability to make adjustments on the fly was super impressive. And I say to this day, I fought a lot of great champions. He's the best I ever fought. He's the best I've ever shared the ring with. His awareness in the ring, obviously the guy's got 60, 70 fights. You're going to be aware, but his awareness was next level. I couldn't believe how willing and able he was to be able to see when I caught his rhythm, and then he'd be able to adjust and change it on the fly. And I always say when it comes to being a world champion, you got to be able to adjust. And Manny Pacquiao is a guy who adjusted better than anyone I've ever been in the ring with. And that's what gives me a little bit of hope. Like, listen, this guy could still probably do this because he's adjusted as his career has changed. Guys who stay in the game long have to. You look at Bernard Hopkins, the same guy that was fighting in his 40s was not the same guy that was fighting in his early 30s or his late 20s. He got a lot of knockouts back then. He threw way more punches back then. But as he aged, you saw the boxing IQ. You saw more feinting, more footwork, more adjustments, more control, more ring generalship. And those are things that I think Manny Pacquiao actually does have in his toolbox that he can break out come Saturday night.
Maybe you answered this question already, but I guess I ask it this way, which is non-heavyweight edition, because like big George Foreman wouldn't really count. But for other fighters post 40 who won world titles, are there common denominators you can point to say they all kind of had X or Y, and that explains why they were able to win?
Yeah, and it comes down to ring control and being able to, I'm going to use a quote from my buddy and podcast partner and commentator partner, Paulie Malignaggi. He goes, "Those guys are better at old manning it, learning how to win parts of the rounds without having to work as hard." Because listen, 46 is 46. The post 40 body is a different machine than that early 30s, late 20s prime physique. So being able to, quote unquote, old man it a bit, be able to control the space in the ring, not have to work so hard all the time. Those are the guys that generally are able to excel even in later age. We saw in the Keith Thurman fight, I'll tell you right now, that was not Manny of old. He had to be smart in there. There are times he didn't have that in and out. He had to stand and fight with Keith more than he probably would have thought he would. He took a lot of punches in that fight, but the power is the last thing to go. He still has that power, which is another common denominator of guys who fight on late. But I don't know, man. Manny, a lot of his style was based on pace and volume. That's a really hard thing to do when you're in your late 40s.
For our audience who maybe have seen Mario Barrios but don't have a clear picture in their mind of exactly how he boxes, what is Manny Pacquiao up against in terms of the things Barrios does as a threat, but also as targets of opportunity?
I mean, first of all, he's 30 years old. I mean, he's in the physical prime of his life. He's a solid guy. He's come up a lot of weight classes, but he seemed to carry his power. He scores a lot of knockdowns at welterweight. Even if he doesn't stop guys, he's able to catch guys. He's a very sharp puncher. He's long. He's tall. I do believe he's the tallest person that Manny Pacquiao's ever fought. I believe he's 5'11", 6 foot. So he's taller than me. He's a little taller than Antonio Margarito. But, you know, he's got a good jab. He's got a really good left hook, especially to the body. Sharp, good fundamentals. He's a bit of he likes to scrap. He likes to be in there. Fights heavy over that front foot. So he's going to be there to engage. He likes contact. You know, he's a true Mexican warrior. Listen, if I was picking this fight from Manny 10 years ago, I think Mario Barrios is tailor-made. He fights heavy over that front foot. He doesn't vary that jab so much right in front of you. He engages a lot. He's there to be hit with the straight left hands. We've seen that in other fights in the past. But we're not talking about prime Manny Pacquiao. We're talking about 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. So I do think we're going to have a lot of engagement. But, you know, is it going to be the young man or is it going to be the experience? That's really the question.
Is there a way to say how the height and reach differential might impact this contest?
So Manny generally was really good at fighting taller fighters. He liked fighting taller fighters. Me, Antonio Margarito, Oscar De La Hoya did very well against those guys. Even guys that didn't fight so much over their front foot. Margarito very heavy on the front foot. Me, not so much. I was a boxer, but he was still able to close the gap very well. And the thing about Manny, the reason that he's good with these taller guys is because his first step. His explosive first step is the fastest I've ever experienced. His ability to close the gap, close the distance, throw that straight left hand with no fat on that thing right down the middle to split that guard, especially of an orthodox fighter. That's really going to be what I'm looking for in round one. If Manny still has that first step, if he can still fire one of those left straights right down the middle and split the guard of Mario Barrios in round one, we got ourselves a fight. But if we see him falling off balance, getting square, having slower feet, it's going to be a really long night for Manny Pacquiao fans.
Chris, you'll be in the arena, of course, handling the ppv.com live chat. We've seen great performances in the past from the likes of Jim Lampley, your colleague Dan Canobio, and so many others there. When you are in that arena at the MGM Grand on Saturday, and let's imagine a scenario that Pacquiao does this. You know, I mean, a stoppage win would be a lot more of a exclamation point, but even if we're waiting after a close fight to hear those scores, when George Foreman did that wearing the same trunks that he wore in Zaire and his loss to Muhammad Ali, it meant something different. What do you think this would mean for a fighter who's already in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, already is an 8-division champion? No male fighter's ever done that. Became literally a cultural household name doing karaoke on the late night television. But what would this adding on top of it mean? And what would you imagine that moment's going to be like if it happens on Saturday?
I mean, we're talking, this is historic, truly. And Luke, you alluded to it earlier. The sub heavyweight weight divisions are a lot more difficult to win titles in advanced age. Manny Pacquiao coming back, especially coming off 4.5-year layoff. It's not like he's been active. Even George Foreman, when he fought a heavyweight, he was active. He was building his way towards fighting to the title and being ready and finding that timing and that rhythm so he could catch Michael Moore. Manny's coming off the couch, man. Like literally, he's just, I'm gonna take this 12-round championship fight against a young 30-year-old champion. If he is able to pull this off, absolutely historic. I mean, Manny's accolades are through the roof as is. This would be another feather in the cap for sure. But I think it's just going to cement his legacy as being just one of those people who's just makes you think there's nothing this man can't do. He just keeps coming back. He keeps making you want to see him. He is a global star. He's one of the most famous people walking this earth even to this day. I've been around those crowds all over the world. Actually, I've been in Malaysia, I've been in Macau, China, and the crowds that come out for him, they still do. It's amazing. I mean, it would be an absolutely historic event if he's able to make this work.
I fully agree with you. This loaded card on Saturday there in Las Vegas has a few other big-time all-action fights coming our way. We got to talk about that co-main event. We had Sebastian Fundora on the show last time out. He'll be the champion this time as he welcomes back Tim Tszyu. But we all saw the first fight a year ago, the first fight in the PBC on Prime era, in which Tszyu was lighting Fundora up until that elbow to the top of the head opened a cut, and then we had a blood and guts war that even to the finish, when we're waiting on the scores, we really didn't know who was going to come out on top. Since then, Tim Tszyu could not have had a worse, rest of his year, although to his credit, he picked it up earlier this year at home and bounced back and knocked out Joey Spencer. How do you view the stocks of both coming in, considering entering the first fight, we thought Tszyu was the next big thing in the division, and Fundora was coming out of knockout, and now they've switched places. What should we expect Saturday night?
I mean, I was so high on Tim Tszyu going into that fight. And like you said, everything you said afterwards, in terms of where he's at, he's been on the slide, he's been inactive. And even that Joey Spencer fight, I don't think it did a whole lot for him. In terms of momentum, Fundora is way up since that win, that bloody win. He's really been, getting into fine shape and fine form. I've interviewed him several times over the past year or so. I'm seeing him mature, even in the way that he's speaking during these interviews. He believes it. He is the guy. He's like, I'm the guy to beat at 54. Everybody needs to come to see me. And it's not fake. It's not bravado. He does feel that way. And Tim Tszyu, I think it's the opposite. I mean, taking that loss that night. Okay, boom. I got cut with an elbow. I was blood in my face. I couldn't fight my fight. As you said, I was winning that fight earlier. I can beat that guy every single time. But then the Murtazali of destruction, that can really damage a fighter's psyche. So in terms of psychology, these guys are in two completely different places. But we've seen them, what they look like when they fought for the first time with 12 rounds of action, blood and guts. It was a fun fight.
He's frozen. He's. Are you still there, Chris? Can you still hear us?
Give him a minute. It'll sort.
That hotel Wi-Fi, Luke, it can really
it can mess you up. Yep.
I've done a few shows from there. Okay. Is that a Jackson chain he's wearing? Yeah. All right.
Did you call the Fundora Tszyu fight?
I did not. That was the first fight in PBC Prime history. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Frozen Chris, not sure if we can
let it go. Let it go.
I don't know if we can reverse Walt Disney here, his head, but we'll see if we can connect back with him. But some very interesting stuff. Luke, while we wait for that connection.
He's a great analyst, by the way.
He's a fantastic analyst.
Awesome.
Whether he does work on Pro Box, he's done work as well on Top Rank, DAZN, so many other places here. A fantastic analyst. Luke, I did want to get your thoughts real quick on Shakur Stevenson against William Zepeda there over the 12 rounds on Saturday.
Great
Defended
fight.
His title, but most importantly, did everything that people say he doesn't do, stood in the trenches and fought.
And with real skill. Man, especially some of those sequences up against the ropes where he's shoulder rolling and it's going just by, and then he's popping when he comes back and then getting right back out of the way. And you know what? This is what's interesting. Zepeda made him do it. And so I feel like this is one of those contexts where because he was pushed by an opponent, you got to see a higher level of skill and a little bit more offensive urgency from him too. it wasn't just a defensive showcase. Like, he had to put it on Zepeda as well. So it actually was a little bit of both. It was a defensive showcase while having, I thought, the requisite offense. Although I thought Zepeda had some good moments in that fight too. You know, he was competitive in ways that I did not expect. So I wasn't expecting much from Zepeda. I knew he was like widely well regarded, but I thought Shakur would just handle him. But no, you didn't get that at all. This was a great showing from both guys, but in particular, the way in which Shakur had to answer for the particular challenges made it like a really, really nice showcase. I mean, to go from your hometown is walking out on you against De Los Santos to this in Queens was a big upgrade.
Look, this is kind of what I've been saying, where is he his own worst enemy at times with PR, the way he handles himself in certain fights? Yes. But if you are a elite or sub-elite fighter and you bring it to him, you're going to get the very best of Shakur. This version of Shakur is my favorite fighter to watch in the world. I'm telling you. And I know some of it was Zepeda's kind of the constant pressure. And I didn't think Zepeda would even do this well, so I'd give him that credit. But some of it was the decision Shakur made, maybe because Zepeda isn't a big one-punch knockout threat, but that decision to stand in there and show everybody what he has. Dude, this was pound for pound stuff. And now, Luke, he had a nice call out afterwards. Can we show the video of Shakur talking about Tank Davis? Do we have that here?
Who's next? I told y'all who I want to fight. I can't keep saying the same thing. I already told y'all who I want to fight. The best versus the best. That should be my next fight. I told y'all I'm a dog. I'm top level, elite level fighter. So let's make boxing great again. Let's put the best fighters in the ring with each other, and let's see who come out victorious.
Yeah, good stuff right there. I want to see that fight. Let's see if Turkey gets involved. We do have Chris Algieri back. We fixed the Wi-Fi issues, so let's finish our fantastic high-level chat with the former 140-pound world champion. Chris, thank you for staying with us right here. Let's keep it moving, though. I got to ask you about this heavyweight tilt, the rematch on Saturday for the Undisputed Championship, as Alexander Usyk welcomes Daniel Dubois a second time. 2 years after their first meeting, in which Dubois gassed out, got stopped late. Yes, there was controversy over a body shot that dropped Usyk. Some people thought finished Usyk. Since then, Dubois has evolved into an absolute terminator. Does that make this fight a lot different when you consider Usyk's 2 years older and he's gone 24 kind of hard-ass rounds with one Tyson Fury? How do you see this matchup heading into Saturday?
You know, BC, on paper, yes, this makes this an entirely different fight. Dubois is a different machine now. He's really gotten over that hump that he needed. For him, it was all psychological because we had so much hype around him because of his physicality, his punch, his durability. And, you know, we saw him evolve and mature after that Usyk fight. And I keep remembering Usyk grabbing him after the fight and being like, hey, you're good. You're going to be back. Stick with it. You're a very good fighter, which might come back to bite him. But if things go the other way this time. But there is another interesting aspect of that first fight. Now, the fight was outdoors and the ring was wet and slick. So Usyk didn't have his stellar footwork that he normally has. As a fighter who's fought outside, I fought in slick conditions, especially a mover. It's going to change the way you throw punches. It's going to change the way that you change angles. It's going to change the way your offense, your defense, everything. So there is that aspect too in that first fight. But in terms of when these guys meet again, I think Usyk is just a different animal, man. He is so special, and he's already got that win over Dubois, in which he really made him quit. So he's got that psychological advantage. I know Dubois is on a big upswing, but Usyk's a different thing, and he's got that win over him already. I think it's going to look pretty similar to the first fight.
I saw some training footage. You might have seen it as well, Chris, of Dubois getting ready for this, and he's just going hard to the body over and over and over again. Let me ask you. Obviously, the official ruling is a low blow. There's some controversy over it. It looked like a low blow to me. I would love to get your opinion on it, but more to the point obviously you can't just punch to the body, but to what extent is that a viable? If you were advising Dubois on a game plan, to what extent would body work feature?
It would need to be an aspect for sure, but it wouldn't have to be the end all be all or the entire game plan. And I don't think that's actually a good idea. If you think about Usyk and Fury, it's like, all right, people know that Usyk can be weak to the body. We saw him go down in the amateurs and in the World Series of boxing. We saw that what happened when Dubois hit him, which was questionably a legal blow. I agree with you. I thought it was low. But in terms of, okay, why didn't Tyson just go to the body then? Because it's not that easy, guys. When you're in a world-class fight against a world-class fighter, especially someone with the boxing IQ of Alexander Usyk, getting to that body is not easy. And if that's the only thing you're looking for, it's going to leave your head open, which is the main reason why people don't go to the body against world-class fighters, because you have to put your head to that line. You're right in front of their fists. Your hands are away from home to reach down to the body in that way. So I don't think it's a great idea to make that the only thing they're looking to do, because Dubois does have a deep bag. The guy can punch with both hands. He's a really dangerous puncher. And it's not just body shots. He can hurt you to the head as well. So I know we saw training, but we don't know how much that really is the true game plan. But you got to set those body shots up. You can't just wing them from the outside against a sharpshooter like Usyk.
This is a bit of a left field question, but I would love to get your perspective since you fought him. I had not seen Errol Spence even on social media until recently. Ugas was sort of reminiscing about their fight from several years ago. But of course, here comes Crawford. He already fought Madrimov, and he's going to fight Canelo in September. Not super active, but since the time that they fought Spence, or he fought Spence, Spence has been nowhere to be found. And I know there's been some attempts to get him back in there, and they've kind of all fizzled. What do you make? Do you think he'll ever come back? And if so, in what kind of state?
It's a tough question. He's had a lot of tough fights, but he's had way tougher fights outside of the ring with car accidents, and he's had multiple. And and some of them. I mean, the one in Vegas was horrific. I think it was Vegas, right? Was horrific, where he got thrown from the car. And then he had another one within a year later that he actually said, he was having some issues and didn't want to take a tune-up fight before the Crawford fight. So those kinds of accidents and injuries, they stick with you, man. So I don't know how much is left of Errol Spence, especially at a world-class level. He's been one of the most inactive guys, even when he was fighting. He would have long layoffs due to injury, of course, but also, he also has the torn retina, which is how he wasn't able to make the Manny Pacquiao fight, how Ugas stepped in, was able to beat Manny. So there's a lot of questions in terms of the health of Errol Spence, and he's not getting younger. So I would be surprised if we saw him back at a world-class level.
Wow. What a shame.
What a shame. Is right.
That's okay. Before you, I appreciate your time here. Let me just ask this. Over the weekend, you saw what Hamzah Sheeraz did to Edgar Berlanga. I've not been a believer in Berlanga for quite some time. It's been something of a debate point on this show. I wonder what you make of, what Berlanga showed, but also what Sheeraz showed and what that means for his future at 68.
I've been really high on Sheeraz for a while. Going into that Adames fight, I was all on Sheeraz. I'm saying Sheeraz is going to take over the middleweight division. Obviously, we know how that fight went. I thought he lost, but I think Adames is very underrated. I think he's a much better fighter than people give him credit for. He fought a very good game plan that night. But then also, we hear about Hamzah Sheeraz having a hand injury in that night, and obviously, he's struggling to make the weight. I don't know how that guy ever made 160. He looked huge at 68 over the weekend. And I'm very impressed with him, and he's a major player at 168 now. His ability to completely control and disarm Berlanga on Saturday night was very impressive. He fought at length, but he was also very physical. He showed his physical strength. I believe it was the end of the first round. I saw him push Berlanga off, and I was like, whoa, this is supposed to be your first time at 168, and now you're pushing the giant 68-pounder, because Berlanga's huge, around the ring like a rag doll. And he did that all night long. Whenever he got close, he'd push him off and get right to his combinations. And even the shots that hurt Berlanga, he wasn't loading up. He was just letting him go in combination. And the impact was there. I really am sure now, or I believe now, that 168 was really hurting him and taking away from his performance. And now at 168, he's a major player.
Chris, I wanted to close with this because we're all, of course, getting pretty excited for Canelo versus Crawford in September. Allegiant Stadium, Netflix, Dana White involved. I mean, it's getting wild here. But the fight is what matters most, not the pageantry. I swear every other day I wake up and I'm like, oh, Crawford's definitely going to win. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? There's the size difference. Luke believes there's this connection here, and I don't think it's crazy. Berlanga gets blown away by Sheeraz. Maybe it proves that Canelo lately is just carrying B-level dudes and not fighting the A-ones of late. Are we overlooking the idea that maybe Canelo has aged not as gracefully as we thought, and it's not just Bud's all-time talent that could make this a truly competitive, maybe even a historic matchup?
Yeah, and BC, I'm with you, dude. I wake up some days and I'm like, I think Crawford's going to do it. And then other days I'm like, size is a thing. We have weight classes for a reason. Canelo's still Canelo. Not to mention, Bud's actually older than Canelo. Granted, he's probably a lot fresher. He is still 37, 38 years old. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to make those comparisons when you look at Berlanga getting completely out-physicaled and knocked out the way he was by Hamzah Sheeraz coming up in weight, to think like, hey, maybe Canelo really doesn't have all that much left. But I think part of it is the age, but also he's still dropping all these guys. It's not like Canelo like just lost his power, lost his explosiveness. He's just not finishing guys like he used to, like what he was when he was fighting BJ Saunders and Yildirim and Caleb Plant, where he had that intensity where he stayed on you. He doesn't really have that anymore. He doesn't have that extra gear or that motor. But he's still Canelo Alvarez. He's still explosive. He's still fast. He still has good defense and head movement. He's still going to be the much bigger man on fight night. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you though. As we get closer, I'm flip flopping. I mean, I tend to flip flop on fights anyway, but this one more so than usual.
Good stuff. Chris, we appreciate you joining us, man. Always fantastic top level analysis from you, and the fans can check you out this Saturday during Pacquiao versus Barrios. PPV.com's exclusive viewer chat and the HD live stream beginning 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And of course, you can order that PBC pay-per-view at PPV.com right now. No subscription required. Chris, enjoy the fights on Saturday, man. And by the way, loving your analysis on multiple networks. We got to say.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate coming. I love your show, by the way. I listen to it all the time. And yeah, man, we're in Vegas, man. Fight week. It's I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm already having fun.
Get those avocados out there. We appreciate that, Chris. Great stuff. Chris Algieri in the house. Big fights ahead this weekend. Cannot wait.
Update from Craig Jones, if I may. He says, remember the pink Cadillac that he bought to go road tripping?
Yes.
He tells me it's in the shop. So it died. So he is taking an Uber. He's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes late. So let's say 12:40, 12:45.
Perfect. All good on that one, Luke. To close out our topic 4, we talked about Shakur's breakthrough win. I got to ask you 2 quick questions. One, I know there's a lot going on with Tank regarding the Roach rematch, which may or may not happen in August, not to mention his recent arrest, of which he was just released recently. You think Turkey can step in and make this fight? We did see Louis DeCubas Jr. of PBC ringside next to Turkey. We are going to see David Benavidez on a Riyadh Cizan card this fall. Obviously, Tank versus Shakur is arguably the fight to make, below middleweight, maybe even in all the sport. Are we on the road to seeing this in your eyes?
You would think in theory, Turkey, there's no fight Turkey couldn't make. Turkey can't make any fight, but there's no fight that is certainly beyond the concerns of purse, right? So that's not a limiting factor with him. And he obviously has, he's arguably the most important guy in the world of boxing at this stage, right? Where his connections are second to none. In that sense, do I think Turkey can make a very, very competitive offer and really lean on these guys to do something? Of course I do. Of course I do. But dude, Tank seems very unpredictable. And I really thought that after he went to jail, he got some of this shit out of his system. Nope. Turns out he didn't. Turns out, again, these are accusations, innocent until proven guilty, but they're the same things he's been in trouble for in the past. This is not new. This is, in fact, a repeat of the past in many ways, to say nothing of the odiousness of the alleged crimes themselves. Add on top of that, BC, during the lead up to Roach, he seemed like halfway in, halfway out. He kind of had a so-so performance against Roach. Now, Roach fought very, very well, right? It's not one or the other. I just don't know what kind of headspace he's in. Does he even want to fight Shakur? Does he even want to fight Roach? Does he even want to fight at all, BC? I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how I would even answer that. So it's not to me a question of would Turkey make a no bullshit offer to get this done? I think he would. But who the hell knows what Tank Davis is going to do? That's kind of where I'm stuck at.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And to close on this card, we saw all action and really disputed decisions, both in the David Morrell Jr. fight against Imam Katayev, who over-exceeded expectation and in some ways calling into question Morrell's performance. And then we, of course, had Alberto Puello losing the title at 140 to former champion Subriel Matias. Disputed decision, really fun action fight. Do you believe, we mentioned the great matchmaking on these ring cards, did Turkey's Tom and Jerry thing really work across the board?
No. I think that they just did good matchmaking, and there were guys that had, again, I do think it's worth pointing out, if you had taken the exact same card with the exact same guys on the exact same day, but you didn't put it in Times Square, would you have potentially gotten better fights out of those people? There's a case to be made. It could have been better than that, just by taking it and putting it in a more traditional kind of boxing setting, and that the weirdness of it all contributed to somehow the fights fell flat. I lost my train of thought from there, BC. I apologize.
All right. I was wondering if
with that.
Yeah, we were going about whether he actually encoured people to stand in the middle of the ring.
Thing. So I just think that like the crowd, however big it was in the Queens, was raucous, and the matchups were good. You know what I mean? Like Sheeraz had a lot to prove. So did Berlanga. Shakur had a lot to prove. So did Zepeda. You know, on down the list. Like it was just really well put together. Now you would have thought the same with Garcia and Haney, but there were so many questions about their lawsuit and the drugs and the weight miss and like the craziness of the lives that he had been living and the damage that Haney had taken. You didn't have some of those limiting factors here. You had more reason for upside here, and then it just ended up delivering. So, I mean, there's no question in my mind. Can Turkey deliver quality boxing? It's not really a question. He can.
Yeah.
Every time? I don't know. You know,
I mean, you can also say 3 pay-per-views in boxing in 8 days involving different promoters a good thing. I don't know, but I have to say, we call out Turkey when things are weird or we don't agree. You gotta praise him. Saturday was awesome, and if that's the future of the Ring series, I am all in. Let's go to topic number 5 quickly, as Craig Jones still on the way, and that's the UFC 318 storylines. We'll be there 2 days from now, Wednesday, July 16th in Manhattan with Jed Meshew. Cuervo presents UFC 318 pregame preview. You know that's coming. But Luke, before we get there, let's talk about the overarching highest storyline on this card. What is the biggest question in your eyes that needs answering in Saturday's trilogy bout for the BMF title between a retiring Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway in New Orleans?
I'm not sure how to describe it simply, but let me tell you what I have my eye on. Max said something ahead of this, which makes total sense. This part was not surprising, where he's like, he doesn't want to go 0-6 in trilogies. 3 losses to Volk, 2 to Poirier. If he loses this one, he'd be 6. Now, even with a win, he'd be 1-5. That's not great, but he would at least be able to rescue himself to a degree. And I think there's reasons that he might. But then something else happened along the way. BC, like that part was very ordinary. But in subsequent interviews, more recently, people have asked him about Ilia Topuria, and he was very, very dismissive of him in a number of different ways. Like saying, well, he got, Charles off a 1-fight win streak, and he got Volk off of the Islam KO. And it's like, yeah, but Max, he KO'd you too, and that was one of his tougher fights of the 3. In fact, of the 3, it was his toughest. But the result was the same in the end. And to me, it was very uncharacteristic of Max to not give Ilia some props. And I'm just wondering, between the pressure, BC, of going 0-6 and the, I would say, somewhat unusual abrasiveness towards his opponent, is he really feeling it this time? You know what I mean? Is he really and he's coming off of a KO, his only KO loss. He's coming off of one as well. I can't tell if he's got nerves or if he's angry.
Yeah.
But because BC, we know the truth. You can have some of those things and it can propel you to greatness, but you can also have those things and it can really drag you down. Now, all eyes are going to be on Dustin in the sense that it's his retirement fight and, how is he going to perform in his last one and blah, blah, blah. But to me, I've got a little bit more of an eye on Max at this point because he's trying to find new life at 55. And between the circumstances and what it might say about him long-term, in conjunction with the dismissiveness over that was a real good win for Ilia. I'm getting some strange vibes from him. I don't know if you share that opinion.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just him trying to talk up the potential of a Topuria rematch, because he said when people asked him in interviews if he beats Dustin, like what, he said he's never going back down to featherweight, even though the UFC keeps him ranked at number 1. And he was talking about, look, he's trying to build up a rematch. So if some of that is to convince himself and maybe to build a narrative that supports that, I understand that. But I think you're right to bring up his mental state and where he's at, because this has been this whole event has been about Poirier's retirement, about the shape he's in, about that he, told everybody, including Mike Bone, that even if they offer him to Poirier, he's not coming back. This is it. He's going to leave it all in the cage. He's had like the best training camp from a fitness level in so long. it is interesting to see, well, what about Max, who does come in on our current DraftKings odds as the minus 125 favorite, despite losing the first two, to the plus 105 Poirier. And oh, by the way, the streak that Poirier's on needs, can we throw to that meme or that, look at the last 8 opponents for Poirier.
Dude, is that fucking insane?
That's
or
Makhachev,
what?
Benoit Saint Denis, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, Oliveira, Connor twice, Dan Hooker, and an absolute war, and the title fight loss to Habib. Dude, that is the definition of all killer, no filler right there. Holy crap.
It's unbelievable. And the fact that he's still this viable is, dude, that would ruin somebody else. That a lesser man that would ruin. And look at him still out here thriving. It's insane.
We're going to get into that a lot more with Jed Meshew this Wednesday, live from New York. It is pregame preview brought to you by Cuervo. Check it out. But Luke, you already know that this podcast is sponsored by Total Wireless, the official wireless partner of UFC. And when you're streaming the fight or sharing those takedown highlights, you need a wireless provider that gets you close to the action. With Total Wireless, you're covered by the Verizon 5G network, so you don't have to worry about your connection being knocked out in the biggest moments. And it's not something that you can normally say, hey, my wireless provider has got my back. But that's the thing. Total Wireless is in your corner every second of the day, so you never miss a thing. They keep you covered for just $25 a month with 4 lines, people, without sacrificing essentials like speed. And you already know with Total, you get unlimited 5G data so you can stay ahead of the action and keep up with every knockout. Total Wireless also understands that you can't afford surprise blows any more than your favorite fighter can. That's why the price is guaranteed for 5 years, taxes and fees included. Ain't that right, LT?
That's exactly right. Guys, listen, you know how it works. The best fighters don't make it to the octagon alone. They have all-in support along the way, and it shouldn't be any different for you. So visit TotalWireless.com or visit your local Total Wireless store to learn more about how Total Wireless can be in your corner. 5G access requires a 5G capable device and a 5G service area. Monthly rate on the total base 5G unlimited plan for new subscribers applies only to the monthly rate for your plan. Additional terms apply. See website for details.
Well, Luke, we have Craig Jones still to come, literally in your office in Washington, D.C. Before then, do you want to hit a couple DMs from Donks and get the people?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, we put out the call on Sunday nights. Here's your questions we got answered. It's DMs from Donks. Disgusting. Our first one comes from Taekwondo Dude Memes, and he says, is Katie Taylor the female Canelo? A super talented boxer, but you have to realize every close round will go their way. Yes and no, right?
Yeah, I sort of get the comparison. I don't think it's crazy. But, dude, I don't think this last one. Dude, Katie Taylor outboxed her in this third one. Whatever you want to say about the first 2 ones, fine. I did not. I had it 97-93 on my scorecard, too. I thought 95-95 was generous to Amanda.
I'm with you. I think that the thing when you examine Canelo's career, that even though I scored a few fights against him, Trout, Lara, Triple G 1 and 2. I scored the Jacobs fight a draw. The thing is, he's so efficient. He lands the key counter shots against your spamming jab and activity. There's a reason why that guy wins close rounds. Watching back the first 2 Serrano fights with Taylor, you sort of realize there's a reason why she does the same. Our second question from Elvis Flexley. Who in the UFC light heavyweight division should move up to heavyweight? Luke, how about Yuri Prochazka? Forget the middleweight move. Be the quick, explosive, unconventional heavyweight attacker.
Who in the light heavyweight division? Prochazka, I think, could wreck people up there. I fully agree. I think he'd wreck people. Plus, he's got a good chin, so like you could imagine that he could, tolerate some of the power as well. Dude, but you know what? It wouldn't be just him. Like, I think
what
there's
about
a few
Ozdemir?
guys.
Can Ozdemir find new life as a striker at heavyweight? Does he have any time for that?
Yep. No time. No time.
All right. I don't, Long Island Luke, we missed anybody here?
I was going to say Poetan.
Johnny Walker?
The obvious one, but the problem with Poetan is like, could he win at heavyweight? Yeah, of course he could, right? But like, everyone wants to see the Tom Aspinall fight. And I just feel like Aspinall would blast double him into the fence.
What about someone who's kind of in no man's land, Alexander Rakic, just kind of because he's lost to the top guys?
He's just a big 205er. He could, I think that'd be interesting. He's definitely more athletic than most of the heavyweights too.
You think Johnny and Walter Walker would fight each other and then the winner bangs all of Scotland? Just a fair question there. Let's keep it going with Samuel L. Lundgren. With the BMF belt on the line this weekend, who are your top BMFs in each division? What are some potential BMF match? Well, I mean, yeah.
Pantoja's the champion, but he also fits the bill, you know?
Sure.
Who at middleweight besides Merab, like non-Merab edition?
I mean, Chimaev, even as a wrestler, is kind of BMF-ish too. Look what he did with Gilbert Burns, right?
Yeah. At 45, who would you go back to? You could maybe say Yair.
Ortega's a BMFer.
Yeah, BMFer for sure.
John Silva.
Who?
Gian Lord Silva.
John Silva. Yep, John Silva. He's a little more of a slickster, but yeah, I get the point. Yep. Who else at 70, for example? I mean, Rachmanov is an easy one for that. At 85, loser of the main event. You know what I mean? For 319, honestly. And then
okay, but is the better question, are you done with the BMF after this on Saturday? Is that
dude,
the better
people keep saying this like it's gonna go away. Like it's not going away. They look at this card. Like if they didn't have this, what would they have put on? Like what other title fights were available?
Yeah, but you don't need a title for this fight. You don't.
You're telling me that like I don't agree. I agree, but tell that to the UFC. They don't like having main events without a title on it. So like having an extra belt in rotation that they can just throw out there when they need it is pretty helpful.
Like Samuel L. Lundgren asks a very honest question, but I think we're at the point where, especially since the title doesn't carry with each fighter, they just sort of like reset it randomly. I think we're kind of done. We had a good run with it. I don't know, Luke. I also don't love putting people in there who are also kind of in title contention. I kind of feel like it should be only for the Nate Diaz guys we love, aging brawlers, all of that. But let's go to one more question here from PlayStation Shavi. He says, top fights to show newer fans pre-UFC 100.
Anything Pride related. I mean, that's very, very easy. Pride. But I always tell people the same thing. This is what I really tell people. Find some great fighter who had a great run and watch them.
Yeah.
Watch St. Pierre's run. Watch Matt Hughes's run. Watch BJ Penn's run. Nick Diaz. Yeah, exactly. Especially a guy like Nick Diaz. Although he did have some great wins after 2009. But yes, especially a guy like Nick Diaz. Like just find their beginning. Because that's what I've been doing in boxing. Like when we started doing MK, I would catch up. I would just like pick a guy and then start finding all of the fights I could find on them on YouTube. And you just learn so much about them this way if you didn't get to watch all that stuff live. That's my Strikeforce too. Oh my God, they're so like pick Strikeforce title fights, Jacare, Luke Rockhold, like any of these things. Just go back and look at WEC, Carlos Condit's
Diego Sanchez's prime run, right?
Diego
I mean, you're going to get
prime run. Forrest Griffin to an extent, like all those guys, you can do that. You know?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There's. I mean, do you have a like? What's the best early UFC fight? Is there one that stands out?
Now, define early. Pre-tough?
I'm going to say like before. Okay, how about I say this? Pre-Zuffa. Is there a go-to best pre-Zuffa UFC fight?
I believe Frank Shamrock, Tito Ortiz was pre-Zuffa.
Okay. Yep. I mean, I like fights like Chemo versus Hoist Gracie just because it really tested Hoist during a time when he
had to hair pull to win. I mean, it was legal at the time, obviously.
Yeah, it was a different time. Yeah. All right. We also have a question here to close from Sticks Plays Time. With Dustin Poirier's final fight coming up, what are your top 5 Dustin fights to show new fans how dominant and exciting a fighter he was? Dude, Dan Hooker needs to be on this countdown.
Dan Hooker's one. Justin Gaethje, number 1.
God, yes.
Definitely got to be on that one. Eddie Alvarez, the second one, I believe, right? Because the first one was controversial.
Yes.
The second Max fight, and then you could even do the second Conor fight. Like any of those, you could pick.
Those are great choices off the top of your head, right there. Do you not put in the Chandler fight that was really gnarly with the blood?
I mean, dude, you could do that one too. Yeah. I mean, you could skip the Oliveira and the Habib ones. Those ones didn't go so great, but that guy gave the business to a generation of very.
The BSD fight ruled too. So did the Makhachev fight, huh?
Yep. Yeah, well, to an extent, yes.
Dustin gave us he gave us a lot, Luke. But the question is, what is Craig Jones going to give you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Pink Cadillac?
He's giving me tardiness.
All right. We're gonna hold the shit, right? Until Wednesday.
Well, what do you want to do? I don't know how close he is. I know he's on the way. What do you want to do?
I got the shit locked and loaded if you want to do it. So,
all right, let's shit.
Yeah.
You down, Luke?
You know what? We're going to need to anyway because I'm going to have to get him set up when he gets here. So why not? Let's just do it.
All right. I scoured the globe to find the most ridiculous videos that make Luke uncomfortable. This one's called "Be Sizzled's Feces." All right, I mentioned that there was that one extra clip from the BKFC Summit press conference that'll move you. Here's Christine Ferreira getting after it.
You're a fucking ratchet. You fucking ratchet. Go suck more dicks. That's why you can't make weight. You got too much cum in your throat, bitch.
These women seem nice.
That's the thing. BKFC does know what they're doing. They play to a certain aesthetic in a crowd, and they go all freaking in. Okay. And Connor's a dirt hole. Let's go to some street fight drop kicks. Luke, you remember this very famous clip of Larry Holmes jumping off of a car against Trevor Berbick in the 80s?
Yeah.
Sometimes it even carries over into the parking lot.
Dude, that's such a classic clip. Including the quote of Berbick going, Lara Holm, he kicked me. He kicked me. Well, Luke, check out this street fight. The same thing happened.
Oh, man!
I couldn't get you a smaller video to see it on, but wow, jumping off the bed of a truck to drop kick somebody in a street fight, that's good stuff.
That's just pure Americana right there.
That's what it is. All right, Luke, it's time for you to pack for a big trip. We got video of you choosing your undercarriage for the week.
Okay, packing for a 4-day trip. Let's get our underwear. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Poop my pants, poop my pants, poop my pants, poop my pants, and poop my pants.
Okay, Craig's here. So why don't you take it? Oh, did you freeze? You got to be shitting me.
Oh, yeah.
Right as Craig gets here?
I'm here.
Okay, all right. You take it from here. I got to go get Craig, okay? Oh my God! Are you dying at the worst possible? There you are. There you are. I'll be right back. Take me off screen. There we go.
Long Island Luke, you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you here.
All right. You want to close up shop here? We'll continue this on Wednesday.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. But while we're waiting on the great Craig Jones to set up and intervene there, can we go back quickly to what we left behind on topic number 4? Did you watch this card? Did you do a live thing on Saturday, Long Island?
I did, but I was doing the UFC, so I wasn't watching the Ring 3 card. I had
All
the Shakur fight up in the background. I really was not watching it closely.
Can we throw to the meme on Cop? Did you see this?
Yeah, this is classic.
Cop dressed like a retired police chief. Shout out to Mike Coppinger on there on the Ring card. And I wanted to play one more to close up shop on Sheeraz. Here is him talking about what he did learn about that Adames fight that helped him make the changes against Berlanga. It's good stuff.
First couple of rounds I was losing them, and I knew I was losing them, but I was adjusting, and that was a massive learning experience I learned from my last fight against Adames. So I think that's what makes a great fighter, or not a great fighter, a good fighter, adapting from fights to fights. And yeah, this was a good day for me.
Does the knockout make the win even more sweeter?
Yeah, it does. It does. A lot of people were happy for me. But like I said, respect to Berlanga at the end of the day. I knew what I was up against. I knew the shit talking that was going to be involved. I knew the type of character he was. So it was all about mentally staying very sane, staying very focused. And like I said, nothing was stopping me winning tonight. Honestly, nothing.
Got to give Sheeraz a lot of credit for stepping up into that performance after kind of being audited there against Adames. He looks like a major player. I don't know if he can have, similar success against Canelo, but do I want to see it? Yeah, I do. And also, of course, when we're talking about Saturday's PBC main event, I'll be on the call there for that pay-per-view card on Prime Video pay-per-view. Manny Pacquiao, Mario Barrios. Right now, according to DraftKings, Pacquiao a plus 285 underdog, minus 390 is Barrios. But here's Pacquiao at 46 hitting the bag. Let's see what we got here. I mean, you can't win a fight hitting a heavy bag, but it's going to be very interesting to see what version of Pacquiao shows up and what he has. And when referencing, of course, that heavyweight undisputed championship rematch on Saturday on DAZN pay-per-view, of which Usyk is a minus 340 betting favorite, according to DraftKings, against the plus 260 Dubois. Let's hear from Dubois and what promises he is making entering this rematch.
My maths is still right. 21 of your victories have come with straight knockouts.
Yeah. Fireworks. It's going to be bombs away on the night. Yeah.
Is it going to be a big punching fight? Is that how you see it?
I'm going to be the one throwing the bombs and just coming through whatever I have to come through. No, I'm not going to be denied.
And just a word about your opponent. I mean, obviously, you think you're going to win. He'll go in there thinking he's got every chance of winning. How do you see him as a fighter?
I see him as a top guy, isn't it? He's got to be at one of the best in the world. Ranked, globally, but now I think it's my time. I'm in the young lion here, and I've got to prove that I'm a new force, a real force in the division, and I'm going to take over.
Of course, I'll have a lot more on this on Inside the Box with Rafe Bartholomew tomorrow. That's Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern on the Brian Campbell Experience. But Dubois saying he's willing to walk through anything like he did against Joshua in order to try to become the undisputed champion. That's going to be fun to see against an older but still smart Usyk with those counter shots. And oh, by the way, I didn't even mention here about the merch, by the way. morningkombat.shop is your entry to getting our newest July exclusive releases, from the 3 Margarita shirt to the technical thriller. Of course, you know about these Average Joe art designs that are from back in the day. You can check out our evergreen designs as well by going to morningkombat.shop. And as Craig Jones is setting up for the sit down, we got to show that quick video of Dustin Poirier wearing another Average Joe art exclusive that you can buy on Poirier's website right now ahead of this final fight, The Last Dance, with all of the heads that Poirier has taken out through his career. Shout out to the great Average Joe art for that one. Long Island Luke, where are we at in the Craig Jones setup process?
So Luke was just seated next to him, but then Luke just got up. Now it looks like Luke is sitting back down. I don't want to unmute him yet, just in case he's not ready. But
yeah, what did you make of one Long Islander Chris Algieri on the show? I wish we had had more time. I wanted to let you throw a question about local Huntington action.
I know I wanted to ask him, like, what's his bagel place, what's his pizza place, but I was loving in the chat. Some people were like, "Oh, he sounds just like Long Island Luke."
I always wonder how he pronounces coffee. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
probably
right
just like me. I'm gonna just assume Luke's ready for this.
All right, we're gonna throw it over here. Luke will take you to the finish. Here's Luke Thomas and the great Craig Jones.
All right, here we go. Hey, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, we got you, dude.
Where did BC just leave?
Yeah, he signed off essentially.
What a cocksucker. All right.
What a coward.
Hello, everyone. Luke Thomas here. You know this guy. This is Craig Jones. How are you doing, Craig?
I'm hot. I'm enjoying the heat out here.
I'm going to turn my chair a little bit sideways here. I'm going to get a little close. You know what? You want to widen? Do you want to do me a solid and just widen the thing? I'm going to put Craig's camera people to work.
She's completely
the back one. Yeah,
qualified for the job.
She has a nice other way there. Yeah, there we go. Very good. Thank you so much. That's perfect. Craig, how are you?
Good. Hot though. DC is
fucking warm.
You can't do anything during the day.
No, it is, and the mosquitoes too. They'll eat your ass alive here.
The bloody mozzies are brutal out here for sure.
How has it been?
It's been good. We started this road trip up in New York we started up there. Now we're just cruising down, and every city the car ends up in the shop. Oh, we make it out of there. We got the 89 Lincoln Town.
I was hoping you were going to pull it up here, and I was going to be able to take pictures of it. But
no, it's in the shop as we speak. The power steering. I'm talking like I know anything about cars.
I don't know fuck all either. Yeah.
But probably every shop takes advantage of me. But actually, where were we? We were up in Atlantic City, and one of the gyms there, they took care of us. So they fixed the car problems at that stage. These new ones have developed here. So I lost power steering here. So I was obviously driving this boat through DC, and I started not being able to turn left. The car was turning into Zoolander.
Well, welcome to the nation's capital.
It's good to be here.
I have so many questions for you, but we have to start with the obvious one, which is the video you put out yesterday.
Yep.
So let's break this down. So for folks who haven't seen it, Craig Jones put out a video yesterday. It's on the B Team YouTube channel, if memory serves.
Yes, yeah.
And in it, there's a few revelations. So let's go piece by piece. One of them is, and this one was not surprising to me, one of them is that B Team is basically going to be no more now. That is to say, you are leaving B Team, and the remaining people, so that's, I don't know Damien's last name. What's his last name?
Not important.
Not important. Nikki Ryan, Nikki Rod, and some other, Ethan Krellenson will be there as well. And they're going to rebrand. I don't know when that rebrand will happen.
Great question. I would imagine so. It's basically like the Swan Song, right? So New Wave and the brilliant political analyst Gordon Ryan have created Kingsway. So the era of New Wave will end. So New Wave's final competition, I imagine, will be our event. And it's kind of the same for B Team. I mean, there's really no hard feelings. I'm like kind of like the dad that went out for milk and never came back.
Yeah.
I kickstarted the gym. Now I want to pass it on to them, you know? Like, I mean, it's hard to have a gym with 5-6 owners. You know, this is like, it's kind of hard to make a profit that way. Really, you know, like a jiu-jitsu gym, I reckon as a business, they function best. Single owner, he's the coach, he has the students. You can make good money doing that. But in terms of a bunch of professional athletes, it's very difficult, right? Like to have a gym that both focuses on the professional athlete side of things. And to be a professional athlete, you kind of have to be selfish. To run an academy for all people, beginners and everything, you kind of have to be a bit selfless, right? You have to look out for the students. So that's the direction they want to take it in. And me, I'm never there. So it's like, for all intensive purposes, why keep it going as it is? We had a good run. So it's kind of like, it fits perfect, really.
But why rebrand, though?
Why rebrand? Just new beginning. And obviously, my image is quite tarnished, as you can imagine. So like, I think a separation from me. I think, unfortunately, B Team is quite synonymous with me. B Team, I mean, we'll keep it out there. Like, we'll probably bust some merch out once in a while if something good comes along. But for those boys, for what they're starting, it's going to be kind of a different image. You know, family friendly. They want to incorporate mixed martial arts and striking because Damien does MMA. They want to go for that big gym type of feel. I keep asking them, I'm like, what's the new name going to be? Because they got their Simple Man podcast. So I'm like, Simple Man Jiu-Jitsu fits quite well against Kingsway elitist, you know?
Kingsway, that's the new Gordon one, yeah?
That's the new Gordon one, yeah. Gordon's been on a tirade on the internet against me today.
Oh, he has?
As you can imagine, perfect grammar, perfect spelling, clear translation of the ideas he's trying to get across.
What has been his line of attack? I didn't see this.
I refuse to read it until he learns how to use paragraphs, to be honest with you. I look for the cliff notes. Honestly, I don't even know what he means half the time, but I don't know why he's angry that I'm leaving his city. He's got his gym there. I'm leaving. Take it.
Does he see it as does he see it as some kind of like victory lap or something?
Maybe. I mean, it's funny. It's like they had New Wave, now they have Kingsway. We had B Team, and then it'll probably be some sort of incarnation of Simple Man. It's kind of like we're kind of doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I don't know what the beef is. I'm trying to put the beef aside. Me and John Danaher, we're homies again. We're friends again. It's just obviously Gordon still doesn't like me. I don't know why. Been nothing but complimentary towards the man.
Yeah, you guys have been nothing but fast friends this whole time. My producer is telling me you're a little low on the microphone. If you want to speak a little bit closer to it,
I'm just whispering these secrets.
All right, but I want to talk more about this. So, do you know when you guys decided to? Okay, how did this decision come about? Did you go to them and say, "Guys, I'm out"? Were they like, "We need to make a call here"? What was the process?
I would say it's just like kind of a logical decision, you know, like for the first 18 months to 2 years, I was slogging it out at B team. I was there twice a day, you know, like, and then even MMA coaching, I'm gone for 6 weeks. And then sometimes you decide to go to Bali on vacation, you end up there for 6 months, you know, like I'm just never around. So it was kind of coming to this point where we were just like, we were all collectively thinking it. And that's just like me. I was just like, I'm never there. Why am I attached to this physical premises? But I will say, I mean, for the students at B team, like it's going to have a new name, but you still have your gym. Really, day-to-day operations will continue. The same guys teaching the classes will be teaching the classes. Nicky Ryan's going to kind of step up into that head coach role. Unfortunately, the body he has been given is failing him. So
I've seen the rehab, though. It seems to be going.
Yeah, he's doing it now. So I'm proud of him that now he's doing rehab. For the longest time, he would not do the rehab. He'd do a little bit of rehab, but the video games would call him. But now he's given up the video games and he's really taken on board the head coach role. And I think the gym, it requires a head coach, right? You know, it's like kind of Lord of the Flies in there most of the time. But Nicky Ryan stepping up, taking over. He's the best teacher. He's the best teacher in there. You know, I think he's very good at teaching and his coaching's very good. Like I love having Nicky Ryan in my corner for matches. I hate to say I even enjoyed having Gordon in the corner. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, he has fantastic opinions. I wouldn't ask him anything else. Nicky Ryan, coaching, phenomenal. So I think like the gym's in safe hands, people in safe hands.
You're not going to miss Austin, huh?
Not a lot. You know, there are some good parts of Austin, but yeah, I mean, I don't love it too much. I don't hate these places. I just enjoy being on the move, you know? When the UFC legal summons come my way, they won't know where to find me.
When would they send you legal summons? By the way, they're just watching this as two of the most hated people that they have, I'm imagining.
Actually, before I went on Ariel, I didn't tell my lawyer and manager that I was going on there, and I just posted like 5 minutes before we went on the air, and he was like, what have you plotted? He's like advising me. Obviously, we had this bazooka to Dana White's head. He did not suggest that. But again, for legal purposes, that could have been any bald man. They all look alike.
Yeah, fair enough. There's some plausible deniability. All right, so the other portion, of the announcement that was in the video yesterday, one was you're leaving the country, as I understand, right? Are you just going to roam like you've been doing? Because every time I'm on Instagram, it's like, well, Craig is in Istanbul, Craig is in Ukraine, Craig is in wherever the fuck. Like, is that the plan?
We're on an adventure, you know. We're seeing wherever I'm needed. Most of the time, I'm not needed there, but wherever I feel drawn to. And again, like we got a couple of big fights coming up. I imagine Volks will be fighting before the year ends. Della is going to take out Makachev. So it's like I have to put in the effort for those camps. So it's like those do take a lot of time. You know what I mean? Like again, for Volkanovski Islam 1, I spent a full 6 weeks with him, and I think I'm going to be targeting the same for the Jack Della, even though I have to be in the cultural hub of Australia of Perth for 6 weeks. But you know what? We'll pull through. We'll do it for Jack.
How is Perth? I've never been.
Don't go.
It's terrible.
I mean, honestly, as a city, the beaches, the weather, incredible. The people, terrible.
Oh. What's the equivalent here?
Oh, somewhere in West Virginia, maybe?
Oh, fuck. Really? Just West Virginia with beaches?
Yeah, it's the most isolated city in Australia, and that's for a reason.
Right. Fair enough. But then there was a last component to the announcement. If you would, I'm going to slide over just a little bit and come this way just to get you more info. Yeah, there you go. That's better.
Sorry,
no, it's all right. Listen, it's a narrow thing. We're working with the studio.
Looks intimidating me. He's too big. I keep backing away from him.
I know. I look like a different species next to you. It's really quite remarkable. But the other part, I will tell you, it kind of broke my heart a little bit to see the last part of the announcement, which was like the match against Gable Steveson, which of course will culminate CJI 2 later in August. After that, you're Dunzo. And then I saw on Reddit you say you were going to Vanish.
Yeah.
So what is happening with you after CJI? We'll talk about CJI in just a second, but what's happening?
Who knows? That's the mystery, you know. Maybe we disappear for a while, we come back.
Are you sick of it all?
I mean, it is quite challenging. It is a lot of work, but I really don't give myself a chance to take a break. So it's like a forced break. You know what I mean? I'm forcing myself to take a break. I'll plan to take a break after CJI 1, but I got a bit too excited in Colombia. I didn't disappear from socials for a while. So, yeah.
It's so funny. I've been going to Colombia for almost 15 years. My wife is from there.
I love the clarification there.
Yeah. I'm not a passport bro.
He's there for the culture now.
Well, I was just going to say, I remember I saw you. So it's so funny. I went to Cartagena once, and then you went like, right. This is after the first CJI, if memory serves. Yeah. So I was actually in Cartagena, I think, right around that time, and then you went after me, and then I saw some of the places you were hanging out. I could spot them all almost. But then I saw you were downtown and you had armed security, and I was like, yeah, we're having different experiences in Cartagena at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, I probably needed it with what we were doing down there. We were drawing a lot of attention to ourselves. The armed security for what we were doing, probably necessary. Just that level of throwing caution to the wind on the Colombian streets.
You know, it's so funny you bring this up because people always ask me, like, what are your recommendations for Colombia? But like, I didn't. Well, here's the truth. I didn't realize how, if you travel to Colombia with somebody from there and they kind of guide you and keep you off of that, like, you can have a great experience, but it's very careful. I didn't realize how careful my in-laws were being and taking care of me there. And then I see these like stories from other people who go and they're like, X happened to me, Y happened to me. You got the Burundanga, didn't you? The scopolamine, like the...
Yeah, I did get drugged, and I was not the one that drugged myself in that situation. Yeah, that shit's brutal. Honestly, that's like anesthetic. I couldn't remember anything, but like,
that happened to my my wife's uncle. They got him, and they emptied out his ATM, and they emptied out part of his apartment too.
Shit. I always thought, you know what? A part of me, because I watched the old Vice doc, I always used to think it was, it's a bit of a myth. You know, it's like,
no, it's not.
It's the husband that goes, oh shit, I spent all the money last night. I must have been robbed. I must have been drugged. You know, but yeah, happens to the best of us.
Also, I've never been to Medellin, but I heard that's like the epicenter of gringos getting their shit taken.
That's for sure. Yeah, there are some men aiming for women above their pay grade in those regions, and I think that costs them in the long run. But yeah, I mean, Medellin's beautiful. Like in terms of like city views and stuff. Like we stayed in an Airbnb. I was there for 6 weeks. Honestly, I just stayed there till I got drugged, and I was like, we better get out of here. But yeah, Medellin's beautiful city. I mean, if you're smart, you can avoid the trouble. Honestly, like
yes.
It's pretty. I think it's pretty obvious where that trouble lies. You know, but great time.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, getting back to this about what you're going to do, are we only going to see you when you corner like Volk or JDM or?
I honestly don't know. Like, I'm just focused on CGI and then just having a forced break. If I feel the need to come back, I'll come back. But yeah, that's it basically.
What are you going to do with your life if you don't come back?
I mean, I feel like that's the question most people ask every morning anyway, and just pretend they have the answers. But
yeah, but we're all on traditional paths. Yours is a little bit more unusual.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we'll do afterwards, but I think actually we built the Guardian project, and we're just finishing building a school in Peru. So I'll probably lay low in Peru. And
you got to be careful there. Insecurity is real.
That's true. Yeah, Peru. I mean, it's a dangerous place too. It's dangerous of having a good time, but yeah, I want to see like we put a lot of money from CGI 1 and the planned profits of CGI 2 into building a school in the northwest of Peru. So we built this school for the kids over there. Guardian project, incredible project. They have schools all around the world. We just visited the one in Baltimore, but yeah, they do a lot for teaching underprivileged kids jiu-jitsu, and we've just like build a facility for them because the school in Peru is sort of reach capacity. So I do a lot of fun programs. Like if the kids train, they get meals, they get English lessons and stuff like that. And then obviously you get the benefits of jiu-jitsu itself, discipline, self-reliance.
Hey, is this your first time in Baltimore?
First time in Baltimore, yeah. I thought I was expert because I watched The Wire, but I don't know. I feel like I stood out in the car down there, but I got a lot of respect from all people.
I would imagine that car was popular in Baltimore city limits.
I haven't been pulled over yet. I think obviously they see the car, the cops, and they see who's driving, and they think, let it go. I don't know, a bit of profiling that.
All right. I will tell you, my first thought when I saw the video yesterday, first of all, it was very well produced, but that aside,
I actually edited them myself.
Shut the fuck up. Do you?
Yeah.
You do?
Nah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what really stood out to me about it was, how worried should I be about the future of jiu-jitsu? Here's what I mean. Not so much its popularity as such, but you're the only guy I can see vocally making a case for basic labor rights / financial literacy. And if you take a break, I don't know who else does that in the space. And for that reason, what happens in your absence? Like, I mean, I realize it's not all on you. I'm just saying it would leave a vacuum in place that I don't think would be easily filled.
Yeah. I mean, that's the mission with CJI was really to like help the athletes out, give back. Like, I think I've been blessed by people being very forgiving of my humor just for being Australian. So I've been able to get away with a lot on social media. I feel like a lot of the times people see what I post and they just see the good in it. You know what I mean? They ignore a lot of the dark undertones of those posts, but that's helped me build a profile in the sport. That's helped me be able to make money for myself. So I know the challenges athletes have of like trying to make money for themselves and really not to be used by promoters out there. So I really wanted to provide them an alternative, and I think I set the grounds for it. I mean, there's still a pretty damn good chance we'll do CGI3, unless we eat a massive loss on CGI2.
I was going to say, like, it sounds to me like there's not a guarantee at all that there will be a CGI3. There could be, but it's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any guarantees. Like, I mean, honestly, it's not my money. I wish it was my money. I do wish it was my money, but I've never won $1 million in jiu-jitsu. But the investment's there for a CGI3. But obviously, the measure of success for me is how interested people are in the event, how engaged they are, how many people show up to the event. So it's my friend's money, so I don't want to just waste his money. He has a lot of money to waste. But at the same time, like, if the interest isn't there, it is what it is. We gave it a good crack. I think we elevated the sport with CGI1, CGI2, using the quintet style teams format. I think people are just going to be amazed at how exciting grappling can be. No doubt, if there is no CGI3, UFC will still CGI2's format and probably run with that next year. But they owe me some consulting fees, honestly. I hear they pay well. But CGI3, I'll come back. I mean, if the sport needs me, I'll come back. But if I think the sport's doing okay, we'll let it ride.
All right. I don't know. What level of concern do you have that the UFC will be able to monopolize sport jiu-jitsu?
I mean, the problem is that like what you said about like labor rights. So it's like the best YouTube comment I've read on my series so far is it's like Craig is slowly going insane explaining labor rights to cavemen, and that's the most accurate.
The financial literacy among the athletes in this business is it's not high.
It's not high. And you know what? Even the people in the sport that are at the top that you think are intelligent, obviously we're not talking about the best of the best here, but there are elite level athletes. One of them in particular who was signed to not UFC, but he was signed to an organization previous that generally have some pretty strict contracts. I remember I was trying to get him to do CJI at one. And I said, well, what does your contract say? And this is a guy that studied law. I believe his sister's a lawyer. And he's like, I didn't read the contract. I just signed it.
Jesus fuck.
So like when some of the elite level guys, even the guys at the top of the sport, don't read contracts, I think that's almost unsalvageable.
Jesus. I'm not even sure what to say about that. Can I tell you I have a fear about it? Let me give you a theory. See what you think about this.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So I don't know if you saw this. I mean, there are other factors I could point to that would buttress this, but certainly the UFC is going to sign. Let's talk about the MMA side. So on the UFC side of MMA, I mean, I say UFC, I mean TKO, but on the UFC side, they're about to sign a new television deal. And certainly for the life of that deal, it's going to be extremely lucrative, potentially up to $1 billion a year, right? So like they're fine in that sense. But there's a lot of broader data that indicates MMA is in decline. And one of the things that came out interestingly was there was some data from Tapology. I'm sure you've used the website before. The amount of global MMA events is steadily declining year over year, including in USA, Brazil, and Russia, the top three markets. Now, there are some differences there. Japan's on the up. Europe's certainly on the up. I'm not sure where Australia fits into the conversation, but it's not a great sign. And of course, if anybody who works in this business knows that the numbers are down more broadly. But then you look at what they're doing in boxing. They're trying to get the portion of the Ali Act amended so that they can get their own titles put in, which is currently literally fucking illegal. They want to just rip out federal portions of federal legislation. And now they're getting into BJJ. It looks to me like they kind of see where MMA is headed, that they will be able to control it and be lucrative, but the pie will shrink. Why not just expand the reach? They already have WWE. They already have UFC. If they can take over with Saudi money boxing, great. And then, of course, BJJ is, you would think, relative to those things, there for the taking, and this would consolidate their position relative to declines in MMA. What do you make of this idea of mine?
Well, I don't think the U.S. has been in a better position to fight against corruption and monopolies than it has right now today.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
I think, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like, I think they can do it. and there would be no consequences to it. So it's like it's quite an uphill battle in that sense, you know. Like I don't think the monopoly laws are going to be implemented. You know what I mean? I don't think there's going to be any pushback at all. Obviously, there was a big settlement case recently, but I think that took like 10 years.
It did take 10 years, yes. Although there's new ones. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, I did speak to that lawyer. That lawyer did reach out to me.
Oh, he
actually.
did?
Yeah. So I spoke to him briefly. Nothing serious, but yeah, I spoke to him.
Eric?
Eric, yeah, the main guy. I forget.
Well, there's two different. Well, okay, yeah,
That's the $330 million settlement.
Yeah, 375 million. They bumped it up a little bit.
They
Yeah,
bumped it up. Yeah, so I mean, I spoke to him. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I have quite a negative view on the direction of sort of corruption overall. I think in the country generally. So it's like we would be fighting an uphill battle, but I think in terms of like what you're saying about declining viewership across the board in MMA, I just think it's less interesting now. Like what I really appreciated about Japanese MMA was the show they put on. Even recently when we watched the boxing fight where the dads fought and then their sons fought, and like the production level of that in Britain.
Eubank Ben.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was insane.
Incredible. Yeah. So much effort. Even like what the UFC did when they had the event at the Sphere. Like I think all those little things really help get people excited. Like you're actually seeing something incredible. But like the problem is they've got such a good formula for profit that there's really not a lot of creative effort put into the production side of things, or really even the storytelling. Like, I mean, even like to be honest, the countdown show is kind of pretty boring, pretty cookie cutter. You know, like I remember back in the day, like when BJ Penn fought GSP in the rematch, like those preview shows, even
I think that was called Prime Time.
The Prime Time, yeah, like the production level on those, like they took chances. There was a lot of creative energy put in. They felt like they cared a lot about it. I feel like when that starts to diminish at the top, it's going to translate to interest in the sport, right?
I have a theory. My sister and my brother used to, they don't, not anymore. They closed it up, but they used to own a restaurant. And I remember I came back from Spain one time. Have you been to Spain?
Yep.
Yeah, I love Spain. And I remember you'd go into these restaurants and they would be like the size of this room. And you'd be like, but the food would be just fire everywhere you went. And they explained to me, like, it's not a coincidence that like the more food you have to prep each day and deliver each day, the harder it becomes to do, which is why banquet food is like, it's not bad, but it's assembly line, it's formulaic. Just feels a little bit like MMA is kind of like banquet food right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, I mean, like, obviously, if you get offered lucrative contracts and you have to deliver a certain amount of shows, then you're going to have to split those interesting fights up over the course of the show. Obviously, depending on the athlete, they're going to be able to fight more, get paid potentially more for more fights. But I do miss the days when it was like one pay-per-view a month. Everyone was going crazy, hyped. The whole thing was stacked, you know. But I mean, maybe that's me just reminiscing, but I do agree with what you're saying here. And that's why I only want to do CGI once a year. Like it's like one Super Bowl event per year that wouldn't interfere with any other events.
Right.
Know? It's a chance for the athletes to make money. It's not behind a paywall. It shouldn't conflict with other organizations. If their athletes do well, that's going to make their athlete more valuable to them. But on the counter to that, the athlete could get hurt. Their athlete could win that $1 million and be like, hey, bump the paycheck up. You know what I mean? So like CGI, by providing leverage to the individual athletes, is really, I think, a scary thing for anyone that would try to control an industry.
Let's talk about the tour you're on. So obviously, like, you started in New York.
Yep.
Did you go to Philly at all?
On the outskirts of Philly. Where did we go? We went New York to Atlantic City.
That's the land that time forgot. Holy shit.
We're trying to get like Hunter S. Thompson sort of vibes here on the campaign trail, right? So we're just trying to hit a lot of obscure spots. I don't even know where we're going after this today. I mean, we left the car in, I think, safe hands. The mechanics said they'd have a look at it. But yeah, let's see. Maybe I was thinking about driving through West Virginia after this, but we're just winging it. Like I called it a bit of a farewell tour. I just want to just pull up to gyms and train with the people, the real people in the country that are like, don't generally have access. That's something I really appreciate, because when I came up in the sport, Adelaide, Australia, we didn't have too many high-level guys pass through. So it's always been in the back of my mind. It's like I try to visit destinations that don't have access, like places like Venezuela. Like I try to hit these spots, even Ukraine, try to train with the boys in Ukraine and stuff like that. Like, so that's one way I'm trying to grow the sport of jiu-jitsu. It's just showing up, hanging out with them, rolling with them. You know what I mean? It really helps.
Where's Lachlan from? Giles.
Lachlan's Melbourne, born and raised, still
Okay.
in Melbourne today.
Okay. I didn't know if I'm not too familiar with like how the Aussies split out down the country. Where did you train here in DC yesterday?
Oh, I actually trained because the captain of the America team, or the coach of the America team, is a guy called Greg Souders.
Dude, I used to train under Greg Souders.
Oh, really?
Years ago. Like maybe I'm not even bullshitting. Maybe 10 years ago. I like Greg a lot. I know people get all over his case about the ecological thing. Dude, he's one of the fucking best instructors I've ever had. Like, no bullshit. Greg, he left the school I was at, and I sent him a note even telling him how fucking good he was because I was so bummed when I found out he left. So you were in what, Crazy 88?
No, he teaches now at, oh man, I should remember the name of the gym, Standard Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, out in Maryland.
Maryland,
Yes.
yeah. I think, 30 minutes away?
Give or take, yeah.
But he's got 2 guys in his team from his gym, the Corbet brothers. So we went down there. I rolled with them 10 minutes each. That was enough for me. The cardio was absent, but yeah, we just checked in with him, watched him how he runs the room. You know, like I think a lot of people get caught up in his aggressive interview energy, but yeah, lovely guy from my experience, and he has a good heart. Like he's trying to change the sport of jiu-jitsu through the way he coaches, and like from everything I can see, he's running it like a professional wrestling room, like a practice room. It's a room for practice. Yeah. So it's like there's a lot of marketing in there, right? Like no drilling and stuff like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think his heart's in the right place.
Well, when he was teaching at the time, this must have been, I'm gonna guess here, circa 2016, something like that. I could be wrong about that. I don't know if he had like what we would call today an ecological approach, but just the first time I ever trained with him, I remember thinking I'd never had an instructor who we were doing guard passing in the gi, how he could just connect all the dots through like, well, here's what the objective is. Here's what your assignment is to reach the objective. Here's why. And I remember being like, because you go to a lot of jiu-jitsu schools and they're like, all right, we're going to train guillotines today. You know what I mean? And they kind of mechanically show you how it's done, but they don't really explain why things are the way they are. I don't know. I thought he was fucking awesome. So
yeah, I think, it's just goal orientated training, right? And it's like allowing people to be creative in the pursuit of the goal, whether that be a position or a submission. So I think like any room with high level guys that allows for creativity and discussion is going to deliver good students. And DeAndre Corbet in particular just won $100,000 at Zapatero and beat some of the best guys in his weight division in the sport. So he's done a very good job with DeAndre Corbet.
So you might go to West Virginia. So my understanding was from the plan was to basically hit the East Coast.
You know, I'm not a big plan guy, you know.
Okay, the tentative plan was to hit the East Coast, right? And then hit the West Coast. And at the end of the West Coast run, just essentially head into Vegas for CJI, right? That's the plan?
That's the plan.
I see. Okay. So between now, so the plan is to hit, are you going to go all the way down to Florida?
Yeah, so I'm going to hit up Flow Grappling, have an event, Who's Number One, and my boy Owen Jones is competing against Gianni Gruppo on that, and that has some real interesting matchups. My buddy Kit Dale's competing in the main event.
Another Aussie pioneer to an extent, yeah?
Another bloody Aussie. Now, he's basically come out of retirement. Like, he disappeared for a while, but now he's making a run for it again, and he's always been one of the most talented guys I've ever trained with. We actually competed against each other one time, but it was a bit of a fake match because we're friends. But, yeah, he's phenomenal. So it's great to see him coming back. He actually did the CJI trials in Australia and put on a really, really good performance. And he was one of the guys I think paved the way, shaped me early in my career because he was being an idiot, making stupid videos, funny videos and stuff like that. And I saw how that helped him transcend the regular sort of jiu-jitsu field. It helped him stand out, make money in the sport and stuff like that. So I would say Kid Dow is very influential on sort of me being a professional idiot myself.
I remember him distinctly for 2 reasons. One, he got his black belt very quickly. Yeah. And I think because he had some kind of, at the time, he had some
Moneybird quick.
So this is Moneybird. I forget it. What's his first name?
Derrick.
This is the guy who got his black belt in like literally what they say 3.5 years at 46 years old. Motherfucker, I'm 45. It hurts to nap on one side. Like I just have a very hard time believing that that's even achievable, even for like a Terrell Owens level athlete. But okay, that aside. And then the other part was to the funny videos. I mean, he made a foray into acting for a while. Kid Dale did, right? I recall that.
He did. His brother is actually like quite a good director. His brother's like stood out in the directing field. So like I think both of those guys have worked together a lot. But yeah, Kit did have a bit of a foray into acting.
You know what's so funny about this tour you're on? It kind of occurred to me when I heard about it. I was like, dude, this sounds like a political campaign.
That's what we're thinking with like Hunter S. Thompson on the campaign.
Dude, just handshaking people, grassroots, door to door. That's how it's done.
Kissing people's babies without asking, that's my style. Yeah. That is actually the jiu-jitsu style, to be honest, sadly.
Yeah, no. Oh God, that's a whole nother conversation. But like, I gotta tell you, like, dude, like, you know what's so funny about it? Like, you clown jiu-jitsu, and it's like I saw a video the other day where you were laughing at people at B Team who like open mat on Sundays. They don't go home to their families. They got nothing to do, and the whole keep jiu-jitsu gay and stuff. But it's like, dude, at the end of the day, like, I don't know anybody who loves jiu-jitsu more than you. If I could be honest, like, the level of care you're putting into safeguarding its future. It's quite remarkable.
I'm trying to guide the culture as best I can, because it is a painful culture.
It's a mutant culture, brother.
People out there posting line quotes on Instagram and stuff like that. It's wild. Like, we need to fix it.
It's a lot of I feel like jiu-jitsu is one of those places where, like, people who go, that's where they get social time. Like, absent that, they don't have a lot of social time. And I'm generalizing, obviously, but it seems like that's your experience as well.
Yeah, that's fair for sure. I mean, the average dude that trains probably has a 9 to 5. He has a family, so typically speaking, they can train in the morning or at night. So busy on the weekends with the family or work. So it's really, that is pretty much their only social time. And I think it draws you away from other friends that don't train, because everyone's a bit competitive. They want to get good. They want to put in the hours and beat up their training partners. So that does become their social circle. It's kind of a cult.
For CGI 2, it's interesting, right? I want to talk about the difference in the format, but the first thing was the CGI 1 was interesting because of how
Kevin Garcia, yeah.
Well, the kiss was really quite remarkable, but no, it was so subversive because ADCC has been this established brand in the sport, and then here comes CGI, same weekends, or more or less. I said it was a slight difference, but same city, same weekend. Fuck your life. We're gonna do it this way, and it was that. But you have no ADCC backdrop this time. It's kind of floating on its own. Obviously, I wonder, has that created more challenges because you have less of a villain to antagonize?
For sure. It was always good to have a villain. I think it's like it's narrative driven, and again, that brings me back to Japanese MMA, and that evolved out of pro wrestling, right? So like, I think pro wrestling do storylines incredibly well. So I think like CGI 1 had this perfect sort of villain, and along the lines, unfortunately, that villain made some bad decisions that made life a lot easier for us. So we had this narrative of against the man. I do consider us to have a villain for this next event, and that villain would be any event that blocks their athletes from competing for us. So we do have a bit of a villain. That's a villain with a very strong legal team. And actually, for a crew of people that are anti-cancel culture, they're quite sensitive. They're quite a sensitive group of people. So
this is my favorite thing about UFC. They're like, we're the free speech place. And I'm like, they are the most censorious organization in all of sports. Dana White is easily the most sensitive guy in the entirety of combat sports. Listen, they can operate their business how they want, and it's obviously been very successful, but the claim that what they're committed to is the free expression of ideas is fucking comical.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, they are free speech for some things, but yeah, they do
slurs.
Yeah. Bryce Mitchell, marketing manager over there, but we do, for us, like, it is difficult in this sense because like it's hard to villainize an organization that kids grew up watching and idealize.
Right.
So it's like, people will take smaller paychecks to be associated with that organization, and that's kind of the dream. They do sell these athletes.
They do that in MMA too.
Yeah, so it's like we do have an uphill battle here, and I don't really think we necessarily need a villain for this event. Like, for me, what I'm so invested in is basically I wanted to show CGI 1 the perfect format. Like, obviously we stole the pit and licensed it, but we stole it. We wanted to show the perfect format for like an individual tournament style, but it's always been my dream to showcase quintet as I imagined it, which is sort of like a 5-on-5 last man standing type of thing. Like, I don't think there would be a more exciting thing in the sport of jiu-jitsu than to see one athlete submit 5 people in a row. And that's what we have the possibility to do here. So although we do, a villain arc is very nice. It's a playful villain this time. And I do have to be careful about what I say because expensive legal fees. But for this event, the main goal is really like to showcase how exciting that team aspect of jiu-jitsu can be. And it's really like a uniting factor. Like we're over in New York and I was envisioning myself as Cyrus from the Warriors. We were uniting the gangs together.
Like Warriors. Yeah, come out and play. Yeah, that
so
one.
Before he got shot down by the rival organization. But yeah, like basically like the teams are kind of like gangs and everyone's coming together to showcase the most exciting aspects of jiu-jitsu. And we've got a lot of really all-round support and grassroots support from the first one for this one. But yeah, I mean, to see like New Wave and B Team, like just being in an event together, I feel like we've already accomplished something very good with that. And really, like, it is the end of the road for both those teams. So the only chance you'll get to see to what that beef play out is at CGI2.
Why is it the end of the road?
Because obviously they're going to become Kingsway.
So is New Wave just like disintegrating?
I mean, I don't know how they're going to structure it, but they do have a new premises. It is Kingsway. I'll shout them out, even though the coach is a bit of an asshole. But I will shout them out. Kingsway, obviously, you're going to have fantastic instruction there, but you will have an alternative with the B Team boys rebranding. It'll probably be, I'm calling it out. It'll probably be called Simple Man Jiu-Jitsu or Simple Man Martial Arts.
Okay.
So the rebrand. So obviously, B Team and New Waves were the names of the teams when those that beef was real.
Right.
So if you want to see it play out, CGI2.
Okay. It sounds like the Bulls quintet thing that you did through B Team really had a very strong impact on you. It sounds like that's what inspired this whole event.
Yeah. I mean, I've done quintet before, and quintet would do super teams kind of.
Yeah.
Respect to 10th Planet. 10th Planet would participate and they would have their own team, and they always used to say, it should be real teams. Eddie Bravo never took that idea and ran with it. I stole that idea. They were preaching to the choir there. I thought the idea of real team versus real team is the most exciting, right? Like if you do super teams, you're going to have some DuPont like character come in and just build the best team possible. So like the idea of it being real teams has this sort of fairness factor to it. And I think at the end of the day, people want to see fair competition. There will be mismatches because of the weight discrepancies.
Right.
Because we're going to have a 66, 77, 88, under 99, over 99. So basically your 80cc weight division representatives from your team are going to go to war with another team.
I love it. I think it's going to be I actually think the action will be better this time. Now, obviously, it's going to be hard to reproduce what Ruotolo and Taka did last time. That's pretty special, lightning in a bottle. But to the point you raised, the format lends itself to a little craziness, it feels like.
Yes, and as obviously Vince McMahon being a personal inspiration to me, we are stealing the Royal Rumble format, and that is the
Explain that. I mean, I know what Royal Rumble is, but how are you implementing it?
So what Quintet would do, and again, I think Quintet did a fantastic job. I just wanted to alter it slightly, but I still want to give props to Quintet. So this is, in my opinion, an incarnation of Quintet, right? So like, unlike other organizations that think ideas fall out of the sky, claim them as their own, I give credit to Quintet for this. But the way we're changing it is Quintet, you would know the 5-man lineup basically immediately, and you couldn't change that order. What we're going to have is the coaches. So it could be Nicky Ryan and John Danaher, one on each side. Nicky Ryan calls in his first guy, reveal, he comes out. Danaher calls in his first guy, he comes out. They fight it out, but the rest of the team is backstage. So based on the result of that match, and if it goes to a draw, they're both eliminated. But let's say our guy, Nicky Ryan's guy, defeats John Danaher's guy. John will have a time period to decide who he wants next.
Oh, shit.
And then we're going to do a 10-second timer on the wall. It's going to be a massive reveal. So I think just like the excitement from
a shit, that's cool. Yeah.
Coach perspective, crowd perspective it's kind of like a bit of a Pokemon battle meets Royal Rumble here. But I mean, it's going to be phenomenal to watch. Like coaches have to make the decision on the spot. They're going to have to be like, who do I think can beat this guy? Call in Giancarlo. You know what I mean? So we're really going to see coaches at play. Whereas generally, most of the coaching is done in the back. The coach is going to have to really strategically think about which of his guys can beat this next guy. So I really love that aspect of it and that reveal aspect. That's what I'm most excited for.
Prize money this time's a little bit different, right? It's not 1 million to one guy, 1 million to another. It's a little bit more evenly distributed.
That might have been unsustainable, honestly. I don't know. But
it certainly worked as a marketing gimmick. I can say that.
Yeah, this time it'll be $10,002 to show up.
Right,
With
a bump.
Inflation adjusted, and the winning team will take home $1 million. So each athlete will take home $200,000 each.
I see.
But if you lose, you still get the $10,002.
Right. Let's talk about some of the teams. So you mentioned New Wave is on there.
Yeah, we got New Wave.
Big Dan is on the New Wave team.
Big Dan is on the New Wave team. I do owe Big Dan a sincere apology. I bullied him for a long time after the team break up.
Yeah.
You know, that's just something that comes out of me from time to time. We have put our differences aside. Big Dan will be in New Wave. Luke Griffiths, South Africa's greatest ever grappler, will be in New Wave. Giancarlo Bodoni, 2-time ADCC
He's
champion.
very good, yeah.
He's in there. And Dorian Olivares, who used to train with us, one of the best 66 guys in the world. Obviously, joined the dark side. I forgive you, Dorian, and your dad. And we will have an announcement about their 77-kilo wild card coming soon.
Did you try to get Gordon to compete? Did you even make an attempt?
No, I didn't make an attempt. It's a tough phone call to make. You know, it's a tough one to.
But you worked it out with John Danaher. I saw the Instagram photos and whatnot. He seemed to be level-headed about it.
Yeah, and I think that's the key factor there is that John Danaher is, at the end of the day, a level-headed individual. And John really cares about the sport of jiu-jitsu as well and where it goes. And I know John's loves Japan, loves Japanese MMA.
Right.
So
he won't stop using the language.
Yeah, he stole the language. So basically, for him to get him involved, we really have to put some differences aside, but really he sees the greater good of the event. Gordon, I don't think would compete. I think he's health issues. I think truly he's done this time.
Like no matter what, no event, no organization, no nothing. He's cooked.
I mean, for enough money, for sure, someone could lure him back in. But I think generally speaking, he's out now. So I don't even entertain the conversation. That John told me the same thing. That John's told me a few times he's not coming back, but he comes back. But this time, I do believe that Gordon's out.
Okay. One of the interesting teams that you have, and the reason why I say this is because some of these guys were competing at ADCC last time and you couldn't get them. Michael Pixley out of Daisy Fresh, very excited about him. He obviously had a very important submission at ADCC. I'm sure I saw that you that made you quite happy last time around.
Yeah, and I need to explain this, right? Because this was actually a sore point in the conversation with Danaher, right? Marigali, he does play a character for the media, and before the match, obviously he's going full Rio style, blonde, platinum hair. He's posting how he's already won. He's talking the talk.
He's like Ilya Taporia, yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, and again, he lost. I believe it was the first or second round. I can't remember.
I think it was second. I don't think he won first.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, Pixley is an incredible wrestler, and Pixley has an incredible hip toss, whizzer kick, and sometimes us grapplers think we're better wrestlers than we are because we're wrestling with other jiu-jitsu guys. And then Pixie comes across with this elite level wrestling and he hits it on Marigali once. And then on the second time he hits it, Marigali makes that fatal mistake. And it's an instinctual thing. If your head's going towards the ground, you post and it injured his shoulder. Another time I didn't know how serious that injury was. So I did enjoy it, not just from a personal level, but because of what he'd been posting. You know what I mean? It is fun to see someone talk so much and then fall short.
Oh, yeah. Part of combat sports fandom.
But yeah, it is part of it. But I do owe Marigali an apology because I do feel bad because I think he's had 3 surgeries on that shoulder now. That's
fuck.
Catastrophic. Yeah, really catastrophic injury. So, although in the heat of the moment, that was funny, in the big picture type of thing, it's it is a huge loss of the sport to not have him competing. Even though he does this thing that causes sort of a lot of negative energy towards him, it does put pressure on him to have to perform. And I do feel bad. I don't feel bad he lost. I feel bad that he got hurt and that
you dunked on him like Prime Shaq.
Yeah. I was watching from the I think it was setting up CJ, and so I was watching on the TV screen there. And at the time I didn't think it was very funny just because it was a big win for us as an organization if one of their stars loses, especially a guy that was kind of annoying on social media. But yeah, I got no problem with Marigali. I hope he doesn't have a problem with me. I hope his shoulder heals up.
Yeah, I've had shoulder surgery. It fucking blows. So I love Pixley. Everyone thinks you have to get the D1 wrestlers, but I've always said this: you get some scrappy D2 guys. That's great for the sport too. There's plenty of talent there that can contribute in really important ways. He's one of those guys.
And Nicky Rowe wasn't even D1. And look at the damage he does.
Exactly. So we got B Team, New Wave, Daisy Fresh. 10th Planet has a team, right?
10th Planet has a team.
Who's on 10th? So I'm guessing Gio Martinez is on that, right?
Gio, PJ Bart. PJ Bart's one of the best grapplers in the world today. We've got Ryan Aitken, we've got Kyle Bame, and I feel so bad. I think I'm forgetting one name.
It's all right.
But it's and Alan Sanchez as well.
Oh, okay.
So they do have a very strong team, and they didn't utilize any of the wild cards. We gave teams a wild card, basically because it is hard to fill 5 weight divisions from your own team. And some of the guys that represent smaller teams might not have found a position, right? Like their team didn't have enough people to fill the spot, but we still wanted in the event, and we like the idea of a wild card. So it's still predominantly your team, but you have that wild card option where it's like, oh, we don't have a 66er, we'll call this guy in. And that's what I mean. B-Team did that. We brought in Victor Hugo. So we got Ethan Krellenstein, Joseph Chan. Joseph's one of the best, I think is the best athlete out there today in terms of a technical sense. We have, my memory's Chris Wojcik. We have Nicky Rod, and we have Victor Hugo. And Victor Hugo, it's great that him and Nicky Rod have come together because Nicky Rod has lost to him 4 times, unfortunately. That Victor Hugo has proven to be his kryptonite, unfortunately. But they didn't really have any differences. But obviously, it's like Nicky Rod, it's going to be hard to have another match against Victor after they train together for this event, you know?
Sure.
So that's Nicky Rod, props to him, put his ego aside. Brought in the guy that beat him and gets to scrap with him all the time now.
Yeah, incredible. Who else are the teams that I'm missing? Is there an Australian team as well, like a super team?
Yeah, we got an Australian team. Lachlan Giles is heading that up. We got man, you're testing my memory here today. There's a lot of teams. We got Bilal. Bilal's a bit of a wild card draw there. He's like kind of an unknown, but really, really talented. I remember Lachlan Giles telling me before the trials that he thought Bilal would secure one of the spots in the team. I didn't know who Bilal was, but yeah, he proved very dangerous. They've got Declan Moody. Unfortunately, Levi had to pull out, but he has a back injury.
He was so fucking awesome last year, too. What a revelation he was.
Yeah, I'm super disappointed. I always feel like Levi's on the cusp. Like in the gi, he was about to do what no Aussie had ever done, I believe, at the time, and that was win a black belt world title in the gi. Everyone thought that was impossible. And he beat Lucas Lepre, and he got double DQ'd, and he disappeared for a while after the World Championships. And then obviously he had his CGI performance. He got an incredible run, and now he sort of disappeared again a little bit, you know, like he's obviously dealing with some injuries and stuff. So it's sad we lost him, but we got Kente Iwamoto replacing him, who's a guy that's trained to beat him a lot, trains a lot with Joseph Chan. We've got Lucas Cannard, and Lucas is the Aussie kid that upset Victor Hugo. So Victor was like probably the betting favorite for CGI 1 in the heavyweight division. Basically, it was going to be Victor and Nicky Rod in the finals. Lucas comes out as an unknown, way undersized, and I think he was the last guy we selected in the 16-man. We stole him from ADCC at the last second. Actually, my brother at the time was saying, no, there's this Aussie guy that's really good. So we put Lucas Cannard in, and he beats Victor Hugo first round. And that was just like, that won the submission of the tournament. It was just absolutely blown away. And then at 66 kilos, who is it in Team Australia? They're going to crucify me for this.
Wow, what a fucking traitor you are.
Yeah, they won't welcome me back now. 66, who is it? I can't remember.
It's all right. We'll share links and people can check it out on their own. And then, of course, there's 2 more things I want to get to. One, the women's side actually has a bit of a bracket this time with some big names on there, some ADCC champions on there. From actually, Adele won. She's Australian. She won ADCC last year. She's going to be at CGI this time.
She came out of nowhere. Really. Like, obviously, a lot of people in the Australian scene knew how good she was, but she just came out of nowhere and double gold. And it's like, incredible.
Holy shit, yeah.
First ADCC, double golds. Then we have Ana Vieira. Ana Vieira won ADCC in her weight division, and she beat the 3rd contestant we have in there, and that is Helena Craver. And Helena's like
a new wave. Yeah.
New wave, child prodigy. And that was props to John on this, because like when I was talking to John about being like, yo, can we please have a team new wave? Like, this wouldn't be right without a team new wave. Like, it's like we missed out on you guys for CGI 1. You guys stuck the course with ADCC, loyal to ADCC. I'm like, we need you for CGI 2. And he was a bit hesitant, but one of the things he did say is like, I really want a spot for Helena, and I was going to make sure we had something for her. And then we were able to max out the credit card and get the 100K, which would be the largest women's prize pool in the history of grappling.
Wow. If memory serves, did Fionn Davies, like, y'all have a falling out or something like that?
It has its ups and downs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Like,
I know she got, I don't know, Gordon doesn't like her, but I didn't know how that pertained to you.
That's actually probably an endearing quality in it. If Gordon doesn't like him, that's a great review of you as a human being, I think. But yeah, I love Ffion. Fion's awesome. Fion's paved the way in the sport as like a role model for so many women in the sport, and she was one of the first people to come across for CGI1. So like, love her for that. She donated a huge portion of her prize money to a charity group in Gaza for kids. So like, props to her for giving away so much money on that. I worked so hard to get Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie was obviously hesitant because it's like, she's been out of the game so long. You know, she's been in an MMA, and MMA is a vastly different thing. Like, we see submissions in MMA, but like, Fion's just training grappling. It's so hard. Mackenzie was the best girl at the time in her weight division back in 2015 when she won ADCC. So like, I know even from my own personal experience, like, to face the next up and comer after being away that long is a tall order. But we're able to secure Mackenzie Dern, and I wanted to show how exciting female grappling could be. And that was one of the big peaks on the broadcast. And kind of like, the falling out was me just being like a bit disappointed that she did sign a deal with the UFC. She said that she was allowed to do CGI. They had a CGI clause in there. I haven't seen the contract. I don't know. But based on my dealings with them, their athletes won't be able to do CGI. So like, I kind of like, and I might have said in a more of an emotional moment, but I was just like, oh, will you support? And other women athletes had come to me and said, well, now if I have to face Ffion, I kind of have to sign an exclusive deal with the UFC. And if you, from a pure athletic perspective, if you want to face the best, but you have to accept a contract you're not happy with to face her, I'm like, well, that puts all the other women in a bit of an awkward spot. So like, I had said some things about, obviously, if you were for the sport, for women in the sport, you wouldn't be locked down to an exclusive contract. But on the other side, I have to remember that like, she's got to take care of herself. She's got to take care of making money for herself. So really no skin off her back for doing that. At the time, we hadn't conclusively locked down the 4-woman CGI division.
Got it.
So in retrospect, if I could do it again, but obviously there's so many things happen on the fly. We're trying to organize so many things, talking to all these grapplers like herding cats, you know? So it's like, at the time when I knew the UFC was entering the market, we started getting our contracts out early for these teams and these athletes. Cause it was one of those things where it's like, if they're locked in for August, they now have to, if they sign an exclusive contract, there has to be an exemption because they've already got a contractually obligated obligation to perform at our event.
Right.
So we were trying to get ahead of these exclusive contracts. And at the time, we hadn't locked down the women's prize money. We hadn't locked down the women's division. So I couldn't offer anything tangible to Ffion at the time to get her to sign. So it was a gray area. It was a disagreement, but I love Ffion.
Fair enough. Before we wrap, the super fight last year was Gabby Garcia, which was hilarious. This one is equally, not equally, but I would say also there's a lot of lighthearted vibe to it. You versus Olympic champ, NCAA champ, Gable Steveson. Was it hard to convince him to do it?
You know what? I said this before. We caught him at a vulnerable moment. Obviously, he's coming off a loss, and I do my best work when I notice someone's at a vulnerable moment. So that definitely helped us at the negotiating table. But yeah, Gable was down. Gable was down to do. He's down to have fun. I believe he's.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's Ice. Ice is calling to get me. Gable is down. He's down to go there and have a scrap. You know, like, obviously, I hope he doesn't break my spine and leave permanent injury. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one. I do 100% intend to kiss him at the face-off as well.
The rule set is what? Is the rule set for the super fight the same as any of the other matches?
The quintet matches will just be 8 minutes.
Okay.
Last year in the tournament style, we did 3x5s and 5x5s for the final. This one will be 3 5-minute rounds scored just like a regular CGI match.
I see. Okay.
So I'm trying to go Helio Gracie style when he faced the massive judo dude and got his arm broken. Hopefully it's
Jigaro Kano.
Yeah, hopefully it's a role reversal here. Somebody getting hurt.
If I may, before you know, I greatly respect you, but I have to ask this. Gable does have a weird relationship with the fans, stemming from a 2019 arrest. Now, ultimately, the charges were dropped. This is a sexual assault charge. I could be wrong about the actual terminology, so please forgive me. Some folks are wondering why you're doing business with him, to which you would say,
I mean, to be honest, I did not know about that until after the match, and I haven't discussed that with him once the contract was signed. You know, like I really don't know enough about it.
The only reson I heard about it is because I heard he had the thing with pro wrestling went poorly, and someone told me, I forget how long ago it was. They're like, oh, the fans turned on him, and I was like, well, why? And then they sent me some of the news articles about it, and I guess it has something to do with a law that was passed at the time that allowed him and this other guy to kind of skate, but it didn't necessarily exonerate them. I mean, it did in the legal sense, but not in the public perception sense.
I mean, it's obviously it's difficult. We had the and nothing on that scale. Obviously, we had to navigate the J-Rod situation, the gym, which was very difficult with being Nicky Rod's brother. We had some problems there, but yeah, like it's a difficult area to work through.
I understand.
I mean? Like it's like if we were to find individuals in the sport without skeletons in the closet, we'd probably have no event, unfortunately, you know. And there has been some pushback on one athlete in particular that I allowed to compete in this event, but yeah, we did do the deal with Gable, so I have to take all the heat for that. But like for the most part, like the teams, I'm just I'm trying to distance myself from that side of things by being like, I pick the coach picks the athletes, you know. But yeah, I think that's a difficult thing for all of combat sports. You know what I mean? You should try to navigate around what's happened in the past. You know, like
it's a challenge for every single promoter in the sport. I mean, it's what do you do? Can you have a puritanical version of promoting? I don't think that you can, but where do you draw the line? It's not really clear.
I mean, that's the difficult thing, right? Obviously, my name's on the event, but yeah, there's like a lot of people going into it, so it's hard to find opponents that'll pull viewers in. You know, like I'll have to look more into the Gable thing, but yeah, as far from a person to person, it sounds like a cop out, but he seemed like a lovely guy, so I'm not exactly sure the details on what actually happened.
Tickets for CJI, how do folks get them?
I don't know the exact link, but if you go to Google and you go CJI 2 tickets, there'll be 2 links. We've actually had a few ticketing issues. So if you're international, try to find the international site. If you're US based, find the domestic site. But if you use the team code words of the athletes, obviously they're great. They're great marketers, these athletes. They're sharing them every day. I have faith in them, no doubt, but you get a 10% discount if you use the athletes' codes.
Will it look the same this time as it looked? Because it's the same venue, Thomas Mack Center. Is it going to any difference in production this time?
I mean, it's going to look the same. It's going to have the same alley, but obviously we have that Royal Rumble factor. So we're brainstorming now. We're going to do our final walkthrough end of July, and we're going to just brainstorm because obviously we have to deal with copyrighted music. I wish we could have some John Cena shit playing as people they do the reveal. So we have to sort of navigate how we're going to do those reveals, you know? Who knows what my walk-in will be? I haven't picked a song yet. I'm hoping that they can drop me from the sky to appear behind Gable and get a head start. But yeah, we're going to have some fun with the production. We're putting a lot of effort into the creative aspect of the production. I don't want it to be a boring run-of-the-mill cookie-cutter event.
Right. And then last but not least, if folks just want to get involved, learn more about the Good Fight Foundation, where can you send them?
All right. Yeah. I mean, if you look up Fair Fight Foundation, you see our website, you see sort of the things we're involved in. Right now, we're really largely working with Guardian program. So if you want to support Guardian, they take donations. If you want to donate your time, if you're a jiu-jitsu athlete or whatever yourself, you can go visit these schools. And that's for me, it's probably the most fulfilling work I've found is you can have a tangible change on these kids' lives. So for CGI 1, a lot of money was donated to things like Tap Cancer Out, which is obviously cancer research. We donate money to a Ukrainian children's hospital. But in terms of changing the sport of jiu-jitsu, building schools for kids around the world is something amazing because it's something tangible for people to see, get behind. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, people just think, oh, donate to cancer research, a drop in the bucket. But in terms of me building these schools, me and Seth building these schools for kids around the world, we get to go there, we get to meet the kids, we get to see how the school is helping them. So it's something tangible we get to kind of work with. And really, it's quite fulfilling to see the kids' lives stay on track.
Fabricio Andres, under 66, Team Australia.
That's it. That's the wild card. That's why I forgot. Fabricio is probably my favorite. He's probably my favorite athlete in the entire sport. He's one of the most exciting. He has this little Hokage thing he does before the matches. And in terms of a danger at 66, he has beaten Giancarlo Bodoni. And that is as big a wild card as you can get.
Craig Jones, it is quite the heavy lift you're undertaking. I think, I couldn't imagine a better person to do it. Jiu-Jitsu is lucky to have you. Don't fucking die on America's roads, going place to place. But
don't tell us where I am. They're coming.
I won't tell Ice, but good luck with it. And I know this has been an awkward setup. Thank you for making some time and talking to us. And
invaded your personal space.
Now
I won't leave. No.
All right. Well, now I got a roommate. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Craig Jones, thanks to all you who watched and stuck around. I know it was an unusual episode today, but we appreciate it. And until next time, may all of your gains be loyal.